Hello and welcome everyone back to Chaos Child as we are in the final chapter and getting closer and closer to the end of the game. Hello and how is everyone today? Good evening to Cad Evie, Soy Sauce Asian, Just a Guy, Brian FD, Smash Matt, Soulcaster, Elastic Glouster, Egg Roll, Blue Scary Helicopter. Welcome everyone. Hope everyone is having a fantastic night. And it seems, from everything I hear, it seems unlikely that we'll beat the game tonight, but maybe we'll get close. I don't know. We have no idea what's really going for that yet. Sonic Joe, no, I've not seen the Little Mermaid remake yet. I really have no plans to see it. Honestly, if I go to the movies, I'm either going to try to still go see Guardians of the Galaxy or Spider-Verse next weekend. That's just sort of more of my plans right now. And still making slow progress as far as Tears of the Kingdom is concerned. So please limit spoilers and talk about Zelda in the chat if you could. Otherwise, as for Chaos Child, we have learned, of course, the killer and the person who is behind the killer. And it's kind of a family affair for poor Takuru here. And was just sort of still trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Serika's acting just a little bit off despite confessing everything. Just the motivations are kind of off. So we haven't quite figured that out. So there's all that. Oh, Eggroll, I've not finished the script. I still have one more game to cover. Then I'll finish the script. I'm not quite there yet. So we'll see how it goes there. But yeah, so we're just going to go ahead and take off and get right into this just to see what the heck we're in for. So, let's see it. We're visiting Yuto right now. I went to Uki's room to hide before the police officer got here and found Yuto curled up asleep on her bed. He must have been crying for a long time because he was red around the eyes and I could see tear marks on his cheeks. Uki was sitting on the bed, softly holding his hand. She'd probably been like that for a long time. It seemed a very natural thing for her to do. You're being a good big sister, aren't you? No, I'm still not. Her voice was soft and kind so as not to wake Yuto. But there was a loneliness mixed in with her words. Mito, thank you very much for that tier 1 subscription. 32 months now. Saying, went to a convention this weekend, saw some people doing Street Pass. Nice to see it's still going. Yeah, I've seen that sort of push to really, keep Street Pass alive, basically. And no worries about lurking Smash, man. No, do whatever you gotta do. Cat Evie with 100 bits, thank you so much, saying Cool Cat Press Holiday Edition. Weather is good for the Memorial Day festivities to go to Dave & Buster's and a barbecue at my aunt's house. Also, I recommend Guardians of the Galaxy 3 myself. Nice, very cool. Thank you so much. Hope you have fun. I really don't have any big plans for Memorial Day, although my mom did visit this weekend. That was nice. I could see that she was looking at a photo on the desk. It was a picture of Yui and Uki, and I couldn't tell when it was taken. Yui was hugging Uki from behind, and pressing her cheek up against Uki's blushing face. I thought about the person who'd taken this picture. If it wasn't one they'd taken themselves, someone had to have taken it. It wasn't Yuto. If Yuto was there, he'd be standing in between the two of them. And Dad wasn't into taking photographs, which meant it was probably Nono. I could tell what Uki was thinking when she looked at it. She was thinking about when Nono had taken the picture. We're leaving tonight. Are you ready? Yes, I guess, but I don't understand. Neither did I. It wasn't that I didn't know what to take. I didn't know what was happening to me. I hadn't even been told where we were going except that we were leaving Shibuya. We're just leaving for a while. I don't think there's anything to worry about. Okay. Uki smiled just a little at Arimura's attempt to make her feel better. Hey, it's still a good day, Cat Evie. Are you okay with this? Sure am. I've been wanting to go on a trip. She was joking around, probably because Uki was here. It felt like old times, and I smiled a little. Of course she wasn't okay. She was leaving the town where she lived with no notice at all. And she was leaving because someone wanted to kill her. What do you call this anyway? Jumping on the bandwagon? Banding in a wagon? No, and that second one doesn't even make any sense. I suddenly realized that Kazuki was in the corner of the room chewing dried squid. I hadn't seen that in a while either. It was kind of a relief. Hana, you'll wake up Yudo. I am Groot? I wonder if I have enough clothes. I guess I have to buy some. Arimura tugged at her outfit as she spoke. Arimura, if you like... If you like, you can use Nono's. They're in her room. Huh? Arimura froze. She clearly didn't know what to say. No, but that's... It's alright, right, Takuru? I was a little surprised. For a moment, she looked like Nono or Yui. She probably decided that she'd protect Yudo, and so she was trying to be a big sister, like they were. Oh, no worries, Oscar, hello to you as well. I'm going back to your house in Jersey City. Congrats. That'll be fun. Have a good one. I nodded to both of them. Yeah, Nono hated to waste anything, no matter how small. Would you take them? But you... I'm fine. Arimura seemed a little surprised, but her face finally took on a serious expression. I understand. I'll take them. Thank you. I am Groot. Yeah. Arimura ran over to Nono's room to get the clothes before the policeman came. I decided I should probably check if there were any clothes left in my room, then stood up. I'm leaving Shibuya. I tried to leave the room quietly so as not to wake up Yudo, and then I stopped. I asked you this yesterday, but during the earthquake, what did you wish for? If that wish was what Rial booted her, what did you want from her? I remembered what Kunosato had just said. I looked around as if trying to find the answer to a problem I couldn't solve. And then I saw Uki holding Yudo's hands as he softly moaned in pain. No. I don't have to know, do I? I don't have to think about the things I don't know. This is the right thing to do. If I endured that headache long enough, I could probably find the answer. But I gave up and left Uki's room to go get ready instead. I kind of want him to suffer through the headache so I can figure out what the heck is actually going on. A little after 4. 7 hours had passed since the beginning of the festivities, and even as the sun began to set, they showed no signs of slowing down. Lines had started forming in front of every food stand and restaurant around lunchtime, and they were all still packed. There were over 30 concerts, from huge 1,000-seat venues with major artists to tiny little bars with only a dozen or so seats. Each one was standing room only. Guerrilla performance artists would approach the crowds, hoping to attract customers and in turn attract crowds of their own. Over 80,000 people were still in attendance at the festival, which had gone far beyond the organizers' wildest expectations. There were the usual issues associated with big events, like minor fights and lost children, but there had been no major problems so far. I don't know, it feels like a lost child is a pretty big deal. The police from the Shibuya station helped keep things safe, but the biggest factor was the volunteer staff. The organizers had been recruiting volunteers up to the last minute to handle the crowds, keeping everyone safe and in a mood to spend money. Many of the volunteers were victims of the original disaster, and the experience they gained in the earthquake had taught them how to get along and work with other people. When a major band had made a surprise appearance at the stage in front of the 107, there was a mild panic, but the volunteers formed a human wall to keep people in the crowd safe. Today's a day to celebrate the restoration. We can't have anybody trampled to death. That's what the leader of the volunteers had said to an interviewer who happened to be at the scene. He was an honest and sincere man. He was speaking from the heart, and he didn't mean anything more than what he'd said. But his words brought to mind a certain name and a certain face, both among the people who saw him on TV and among those who heard him directly. The word that made them think of that name was, of course, death. Ooh, Greg stores at 40K. Nice. What's with those guys? Those are the guys the news have been talking about all day. Everyone there was hoping for the festival to succeed. But at the same time, they hadn't caused a big problem yet, but there was one big concern on everyone's minds. When a girl and her boyfriend left Shibuya Station, heading for the stage at the Cultural Hall, they saw a group of people wearing eerie masks. There were over a dozen of them, and then another group came from another direction. Suddenly, there were several dozen. Oh wow, a couple of you getting close. That's exciting. Closer and closer. Identical masks, identical t-shirts. The faces of two fat men overlapping. It was... creepy. Ugh, very creepy. The sumo stickers. They said nothing, but anyone who got close, whether by accident or because they wanted to get a picture, would flinch away as they heard the eerie sound created as the sumos breathed beneath their masks. March of the Sumos, yeah. The man at the head of the group looked around and then approached a nearby streetlight. Then he took something out of his pocket and stuck it on the light. It was a sumo sticker. The owner of a nearby crepe stall saw this and frowned, but was too scared by their appearance to say anything. He quickly went back to dealing with his customer. It was something he'd seen again and again since the festival started. The only ones who saw it were people like him, who stood in one place the whole day as they ran their businesses. The majority of attendees, caught up in the flowing crowds, saw nothing. But if you were to take all the stickers placed on the ground, on the decorations, on the streetlights, on the walls, you'd have enough to cover the huge TVs at Shibuya Scramble Crossing. The stickers were slowly taking over, spreading even to places where no one could see them. They were like a physical manifestation of all negative emotions that lurked within the attendees. It was about 3 hours later, around 7:30 p.m., when they finally exploded. What? They exploded? What the hell? It happened at the place that had been set up for the silent prayer that would end the festival. Right in front of the memorial. I can't see! Move! Wait, seriously? Is that him? Die! Die, you murderer! It's Miyashiro. Takuru Miyashiro has appeared in front of the memorial. The heck? How'd that happen? A little after 9 p.m., Serika arrived at the Hikari Wo. Hey, Karagosa. Most of the attendees had gone elsewhere, and it wasn't as busy as it had been earlier in the day. She looked around and listened to the thoughts of the passerby. Jaden Buck, thank you very much for that Tier 1 subscription for 7 months now. Chaos? Check. Child? Check. Perfect. Anything happened since the boxes? A lot. More than I can really go over, Karagosa. We basically are getting getting close to the final confrontation, I think. Man, screw that Miyashiro guy. Is he really going to kill himself somewhere? He didn't just run? I hope he does it soon. I can't go home until I see whether he kills himself or not. Not that I care which, really. Freaking wrong-siders. It's a funny thing to see her talk about. Serika whispered as she listened to the worthless thoughts around her. The couple a few feet away glanced over at her but quickly turned away. Serika closed her eyes so she could concentrate only on the thoughts around her. As of 9 p.m., all the concerts and street performances, as well as a few of the stalls, were closing up. The festival was nearing its end. After this, the attendees would gather at the specified time for a moment of silent prayer, and then the festival would be over. The crowd seemed to be heading toward the station and the memorial. There were too many people still here for them all to fit in the Memorial Plaza. So the big VIPs, as well as the families of the victims of the quake, would gather at the memorial itself, while everyone else would watch the proceedings on the TVs in front of the station. Sakuma probably plans to reveal Miyashiro's body at the memorial after he kills him, doesn't he? Both the TVs in front of the station and the memorial park were near the Hikari-wo, but the park was just a little closer. And anything that happened at the park would be replayed for people watching on TV. In other words, more people would see it. That man from before was probably part of his plan. Several hours ago, she heard that Miyashiro had appeared in front of the memorial, but she quickly learned that the report was mistaken. It was a fake, a man pretending to be Miyashiro who worshipped him as a messiah, but the man himself had looked nothing like Miyashiro. Yet for some reason, the media had decided to report it as Takuru Miyashiro himself appearing at the memorial. As a result, security around the park and plaza had been strengthened. And as a result of that, another rumor was spreading, this time that Miyashiro would be appearing there. It was almost certainly part of Sakuma's plot. Not as disturbing as what we've seen in the boxes, Karagosa. Serika opened her eyes and rubbed her stomach as if to check on her injury. It had been almost 24 hours since Sakuma had sliced open her stomach. She still wasn't in top shape. She had lost a lot of blood, and the dull pain in her head that resulted from resisting Sakuma's powers would come back the second she let her guard down. This had been the result of her attacking him in top form last night. She'd survived working with the committee this long, so she couldn't shake her logical and very realistic doubts. Could she really kill Sakuma? Okay. A thought suddenly came into her mind and she frowned suspiciously. That was strange. She hadn't been trying to read anyone's mind. It was from somewhere in her field of vision. Come out. Entertain me. Die. 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 Die in a really cool way. Negative thoughts flowed into her mind one after another. They were strong and vast in number. It was as if someone had combined all the final thoughts of all the people she'd killed. It's those people? She forced herself to look in the direction of the thoughts and saw the group wearing the sumo sticker masks. She tried to squeeze them out of her mind, but they slipped past her and echoed in her head once more. Come out. Entertain me. Only strong thoughts and desires could create this effect. It was as if all these feelings had formed into one single strong emotion, a desire for Takuru Miyashiro to appear. For the first time in a very, very long time, Serika was terrified. She could feel herself break out in a cold sweat. Her logical and realistic doubts vanished. It didn't matter if she was capable of killing him or not. She had to kill him. Miyashiro had to survive. And for that, Sakuma had to die, and soon. It's about time, huh? She looked at her phone and saw that it was past 9:30. Everyone inside the theater had probably been let out. I'd assume that this is kind of this is the climactic scene, but who knows. Shibuya, the Hikari-wo building, the 11th floor. The entrance to the theater cube. This room was also the entrance to the office floor, and it was always crowded with people. But now there was no one here save a lone employee and single security guard. The festival event in the theater had finished up at 9 p.m., and there were no other plans to use it. It doesn't seem right. The whole floor was lit up, giving its classy design and elegant atmosphere. It didn't at all match what was about to happen inside the theater, because by the time this was over, one of them would be dead on the floor. Serika stood in front of the convenience store on the floor and waited for the time to come. There was no sign of Sakuma. But then, a little after 10, she realized something was wrong. The employee and the security guard at the front desk suddenly started to leave. They dropped what they were carrying and began to stagger out, as if they weren't thinking about anything. Her eyes went wide and she immediately tried to read their minds. She felt a sharp pain in her head when she did. They really weren't thinking about anything. There wasn't even the meaningless subconscious noise that all humans produced. Nobody was ever like this. Nobody normal, that is. Mind control. The two of them walked to the escalator as if they were in a daze and then disappeared. All that was left was empty silence. He's well prepared. Okay. Another violent pain struck her. This didn't make sense. They'd already vanished. There was no reason why she should be hearing their thoughts. Where was this heavy strain coming from? What? She felt something very strange in her mind and body. That's not good. And then she saw her left hand slowly begin to move without her controlling it. That's not good. It's putting characters into position for the climax. In typical Chaos Child pacing issue fashion, both are very, very, very long. Yep. Are we ready? Yeah, everybody's ready to go. Shinjo was out of breath. He'd run back to Alba dorm to take the place of the other officer, who I hadn't seen because I was in Uki's room. I could tell he'd been literally running around all day. Okay, I'm the only one who will be here for the next several hours. I gave some false information to the media outside. There's no one here now. We can take the car and go. Miyashiro and Arimura are one thing, but when the next officer comes, how do you intend to explain Yamazoe and Yuto Tachibana's absence? That was a good question. There was no way to hide that, and it would be his fault if they went missing. I've learned how to change the subject by talking to you and Momose. Don't worry. I'm not worried about your well-being. I have a lot of work planned for you after this. You can get demoted, but I can't have you being fired. See? This is how I learned. Shinjo sighed. Then Uki came in, with Yuto at her side and a worried look on her face. She slowly raised her hand. The other hand was clutching Yuto's tight. Yuto's eyes were still red, and he wasn't looking good. Uki seemed to be trying to hold him up. Where are we going? Akihabara, for now. What? Akihabara? Yeah. I've been sure we'd go somewhere less densely populated. I thought we'd go somewhere further away. Kunosato has someone in Akihabara helping her. Shinjo looked at her. Someone helping her? A hacker who's better at finding information with a computer than I am. He's a weirdo, but he knows a bit about the situation. He'll put us up for a while. For some reason, Kunosato furrowed her brow and frowned. He's giving us a fairly decent machine too, though who knows what he'll want in exchange. Fair enough for Karagosa. Either way. Shinjo seemed confused. Evidently he hadn't met this helper of hers. Anyway, what's important isn't how far away from here we go. What's important is getting out of Shibuya. We'll stay there for a while and see how things go. That's the deal. Where's Arimura? Oh, she's in Nono's room on the phone. I see. Arimura had said she was calling her family before she left. But when she'd taken her phone into Nono's room, she hadn't looked like a girl who was saying goodbye to her family. It always felt like Arimura didn't want to talk about her family, and I hadn't brought the subject up. So I had a vague sense they weren't on good terms, but I didn't know anything else. Okay, once she's done, we'll go. The car is by the front entrance. We won't have to worry about the media for a while, but be careful when you get in. The neighbors might be watching. I'm taking Yudo too. Huh? Suddenly Uki spoke up. She must have been nervous because she clutched his hand even tighter. She was acting a little strange, but it was also cute to see how much she cared. I couldn't help but smile. I looked at Shinjo and saw that his expression was much the same as mine. Of course, that's the plan. That's been the plan from the start. Is that okay, Yudo? Yeah. Yudo nodded. Oh, okay. The hacker Mio mentions his Daru from Steins Gate. Best friend of the protag. He's a typical anime otaku, gross perv, so he's one of my least favorite characters in the series. Ah, of course. And then he looked at me. Brother Takuru. Hmm? Where's Dad? Is he okay? Suddenly, I didn't know what to say. Yudo didn't know anything about what was going on. Nor did Uki, who was also looking at me and expecting an answer. It hurt to see how worried they looked. All I could do was tell myself that I couldn't make it any better. I'll tell you later. When's later? Once we get to Akihabara and get settled in. I could tell Yudo was struggling with his feelings. Now it was his turn to grasp Uki's hand tightly. Okay, as long as you promise. Yeah, go get your things. Okay. The two of them must have felt the exact same way as they went to their rooms, still holding each other's hands. Shinjo looked at me with a pained expression. It's fine. Of course, that was a lie, but Shinjo was nice enough not to say anything. Shinjo, I want to check one last thing. Kunosato stared at the hallway where Uki and Yudo had just left as she spoke. I could tell from the way she was acting that it had something to do with Dad. About 2.5 hours ago, someone appeared at Memorial Park claiming to be Miyashiro, right? Yeah. I'd remembered the news I'd just seen on my tablet. The TV news and Twitter had all been talking about how I'd appeared at the Memorial Park. But of course, that was a lie. I was right here. I assume he'll be let off with a warning and released tomorrow? That's the plan. I feel sorry for the guy, but can you do whatever it takes to get him locked up a few more days? Shinjo seemed to know what he was getting at. He looked out the hallway too. You think Sakuma sent him? She nodded. The timing is such that any number of fakes could appear, but it worries me that a man trying to be Takuru Miyashiro didn't make the slightest effort to look like him. Even at a distance, you should have been able to tell it was a different guy. It's true that he wasn't a Chaos Child Syndrome patient, Shinjo said. That was confusing. When I'd seen the man on my tablet, his height and age had been mostly the same as mine. From a distance, it would have been hard to tell us apart. And what did Chaos Child Syndrome have to do with it? When that was just a type of PTSD? I'd like to know more about him if I can. Kunosato tapped at her temples. Got it. I'll work something out. It was also strange to see how easily Shinjo agreed to keep an innocent man locked up. It's time to go. Tell Arimura. Feels like I can't trust really can't trust anyone at this point. Is he being mind controlled or is she being mind controlled? Hard to tell. He pointed to the clock before I could ask any questions. It was 10 p.m. Yes, I've got all our things ready. I can't trust anyone. At all. I'm going to try to take a drink every half hour. Do better to stay hydrated. Yes, I've got all our things ready. Huh? I opened the door to Nono's room to tell Arimura it was time to go, but there was no one there. The lights were off too. Was she done talking on the phone? Which would mean that she was having Kazuki get the last of their things together. So she'd be in the dining room or maybe Uki's room. Come to think of it, I guess we got Kazuki involved in all this too. Kazuki wasn't involved in this case directly, but she was helping a lot just because she was a member of the newspaper club. Still, I couldn't ask her to come with us. While we'd been waiting for Shinjo, she tried to tell us that she'd come too, of course, using only a series of mumbles and gestures like always. But I'd refuse, though I was grateful from the bottom of my heart. She seemed unsatisfied, but I'd finally gotten her to agree to it by promising to keep in touch and to come straight to her if we needed help. I couldn't cause any more trouble for someone who wasn't a part of the case. Part of the case, huh? I was suddenly conscious of the smells in Nono's room. Without bothering to turn on the lights, I shut the door behind me and walked over to her desk. I ran my hand along it, and only then did I realize it was the first time I'd been in here since her death. That's right. Nono wasn't supposed to be a part of the case. Why? She's one of those people who deserves to be happy in life. I knew that. He was right. She wasn't supposed to die. There was no reason she deserved to die. She was simply killed because she learned Serika's secret. Onoe. Was that her? What was her real goal? I remembered what Kunosato had asked me this afternoon. What was she really after? I almost screamed as I heard a loud noise from inside my bag. It was the sound of my phone vibrating. I quickly flipped over the bag and spilled its contents onto the floor. I picked up the phone off the floor and read the words "unlisted caller" in the darkness. That was kind of creepy. I did not have a good feeling about this. Afraid, I touched the answer button. See, I wouldn't just... I don't answer that from unlisted caller. Who's there? There was something I forgot to tell you. You. I moved the phone away from my ear in surprise. It was Serika. There was no mistaking it. I checked the time on the phone without even thinking about it. 10:03 p.m. Listen carefully. This won't take long. Why are you... I realized how hard my heart was beating. And I put the phone back up to my ear. That doesn't matter. I heard a sudden abrupt noise. Had she dropped her phone or had something happened? I listened carefully so as not to miss a single sound. My hands were trembling violently. I hated it. And after I waited a moment... Miyashiro, are you listening? Her voice was somehow weak and feeble. Something was off about the way she was acting. I'm listening. What is it? There was something I forgot to tell you. It was the same thing she just said. Hey, what's wrong? Why? I was the one who killed your parents. I could hear the sound of the words she made, but I couldn't understand the meaning of the words themselves. But for some reason, my hand stopped shaking, and it suddenly seemed like everything around me had faded away into a white blur. What? The words were stuck in my throat. I couldn't speak. 6 years ago, during the Shibuya earthquake, I was the one who killed your real parents at that shelter. Once again, I could hear the words, but I didn't understand them. 6 years ago, Shibuya earthquake, shelter, real parents. What? My cheeks suddenly felt hot, and my blurry vision came back into focus in the dark room. Only then did I realize what she'd said. But what I felt wasn't rage. Why? It was an important event from my past, but one I'd totally forgotten. My parents hadn't died in the earthquake. Someone had murdered them at the shelter. It was what Nono had refused to tell me when I'd just woken up from my coma. That was why she'd lied to me. And that's why I'd run away from the Alba dorm and gone to live in Miyashita Park. Why? I repeated. Why would she do that? Why would she tell me that now? All I could hear was her pained breathing. I kept waiting anyway. I couldn't hang up the call. I had to tell you now. I forgot to tell you. But why? I yelled at Serika as she repeated herself. Rude. Hey, Onoe. Onoe. Suddenly the call ended. She'd hung up. I tried to call back and realized it was impossible. It was an unlisted number. What the hell is going on? I whispered, knowing I wouldn't get an answer. Really, what the hell? What was the point of calling me like that? No, there was a bigger question. Why? Why was Serika born? That day I happened to meet my parents at the shelter, and then I had a terrible headache. That was probably when Serika was born. And then my parents were murdered at the shelter, which would mean that she murdered them right after I created her. My thoughts were a mess and it was hard to think, but something told me I had to figure this out. Serika said her goal was to keep me alive, but would killing my parents help me with that? Mom and Dad were trying to get me out of the shelter. Killing them would make me less likely to survive, not more. Just like Kunosato said, it didn't make sense. That's right. What Serika was saying didn't make sense. The very first thing she'd done after being born didn't make any sense, which meant her real goal wasn't to keep me alive. Suddenly, I found myself looking at the picture on my phone. It was the photo of me and my family from Alba Dorm. It was the same as what had happened with Nono. Sure, she'd figured out who Serika was, but if Serika's goal was keeping me alive, would that mean killing Nono? Nono would always try her best to protect me. She'd even risk her life to do so, which would mean that for Serika, it would be better to keep her alive. But she could have just done that, what they did with Ito, and used mind control to alter his memories about her real identity. So why didn't she? Why did she have to kill Nono? Did she have some other goal? What was that? Excuse me. Was that why she had to take Nono's life? If that was the case, then I could feel a certain desire welling up from within me, one I hadn't felt in a long, long time. I would find out why, and I would find out if my ridiculous idea was true. And for that to happen, I have to go there. And that's why she called. She just knows how to ignite that curiosity in him that puts him right into danger, no matter how things ended up. Am I serious about this? I checked the time on my phone again. 10:10. There were 18 minutes left until the moment when everything began. I laughed a little and ran my hand along Nono's desk again. Was I betraying Nono again? If she was still alive, would she have slapped me across the face if she found out about it? Probably. I'm sorry, but you did it too. You lied too, in the end. You lied to protect me, so I'm going to do the same. Because this is about you, and you mean everything to me. This is about the reason why you died. The feedback loop of Nono going stop and Serika going keep going, the whole narrative stuck around. Yeah, for sure. I need to know the truth. I was lying when I said I didn't. Of course, thinking about what I was about to do terrified me, but I wasn't going to change my mind, no matter what. Surprisingly, it was Arimura, not Nono, who slapped me. She hit me so hard that the impact traveled all the way from my ear to my ears and made them ring. Don't be stupid. Who do you think you're trying to impress? What are you laughing at? No, you're right, yeah. I put my hand to my cheek where she'd struck me and it felt a little hot. I laughed because it hadn't hurt as hard as when Nono did it. Nono was used to slapping people's cheeks after all. Or maybe she was just really strong. But Arimura seemed to think I was laughing because I wasn't worried at all. Her shoulders shook more violently with rage. It's too dangerous. You don't know what they're planning. I'm just going to hear what she has to say. I think it's fine. Don't lie to me. You know it doesn't work. Arimura was out of breath and seriously angry. She was worried about me. Takuru. Uki and Yuto were standing next to her, looking worried. I leaned down so I was at their height. Don't worry, it's true that I'm just going to hear what she has to say. But what came after that is a lie, right? You're probably going to be killed. Kunosato. Of course, I knew that. There was a good chance I'd be killed. And Dad would be the one who killed me. But I wished he wouldn't say it in front of Uki and Yuto. You've never even been in a fight. Am I wrong? Yes, but I had to go. My head knew it was stupid, and my heart was filled with terror. But there was something even deeper that drove me forward. This time around, Takuru has a lot more self-awareness about it and more of a personal reason. With the loss of a family rather than trying to prove himself. That is true. Yeah, it would be smarter to knock him out, but we can't have that. We need a plot to happen. Kurisu wouldn't want that. I know it. What? Uki told me about the letter. I see. Are you going to just forget about what she wanted? Yeah, you're right. She'd be really mad. And she'd probably slap me hard across the face like Uki just did. But I'm going anyway. I don't think it was Uki. I think it was Hane who did that. Arimura looked like she was about to raise her hand again. But then she stopped, clenched it into a fist, and lowered it. Her eyes were a little red as she glared at me. Why? Why? I'm sorry. Her voice was so soft I could barely hear it. I lowered my head, unable to even look at her. Take care of Uki and Yuto, okay? It's not my problem. You're the eldest, right? You need to come back safe and be their big brother. You're terrible, she whispered as she left the room. I am Groot. Someone suddenly waved something in front of my face and I leapt back. Kazuki had come up next to me. I wasn't sure when. She always surprised me like this. You're still here? I'm Groot. I can't leave you all here, her face seemed to say. I am Groot. It's a lot of lollipops. She was holding a piece of candy on a stick. A lollipop? How many of these did she have? I couldn't refuse her, so I took it and put it in my pocket. If that's Chekhov's lollipop, I will be amazed. Hey, Jason Rocks. I'd probably never eat it, though. Sorry for getting you involved in this. Keep an eye on Uki and Yuto until they go, and then take care. I didn't think she'd do it, but I didn't want her going with the two of them. I'd feel terrible for her family if that happened. I'm Groot. She nodded like she always did. I tried to make sure that was a yes, but before I could, she ran out of the room after Arimura. Kunosada was here too, so it would be okay, right? She would make it home, right? Brother Takuru. Yuto spoke up afraid as he saw me watch her go. To be honest, I wasn't sure what to say. Anything I said felt like it would just make him more nervous. I tried to choose my words carefully, but in the end, this was all I could come up with. I'm leaving. I'll catch up with you guys later. I could tell from his face that he realized it was one of the white lies that adults often tell children, but he didn't say anything. He just looked at me with eyes that were redder than Arimura's. Goodbye. We'll be waiting for you. Yeah. We'll be waiting for you as long as it takes. Yeah. I'll be waiting too, for as long as it takes. Yeah. Maybe Uki's hand on his gave him strength, because he finally forced himself to say one last thing. I'm sorry, Yuto. Thanks, Uki. Okay, I'm off. I checked the time. There wasn't much left. And if I stayed here any longer, my resolve would begin to waver. I nodded one last time at the two of them, then turned around. It was decided that Shinjo would drive me to the Hikari well. I wanted him to take the others to Akihabara as soon as possible, but I didn't see how I could get through the area around Shibuya Station on my own. Miyashiro. As I left to get in the car, Kunosato called to me from behind. You've got your phone, right? I put my hand inside my pocket to check. Of course, it was there. I do. Why? If you find anything on the committee, no matter what, contact me immediately. I chuckled. That was exactly what I expected her to say. I didn't know if I would find anything, but I promised that I would. Onoe told me to get you out of Shibuya. I agreed because she told me that if I got the psychics out of Shibuya, it could get me closer to the committee. Yeah. But if you decide not to go, there's no reason for me to stop you. I have no special need for you in particular. As long as I have Yamazoe and Arimura, that's enough. Yes, that's right. She was correct. If getting a psychic out of Shibuya would cause something to happen, Uki and Arimura would do just as well as I would. So we're not waiting for you, okay? Her words seemed to be testing my resolve one last time. So I looked her dead in the eye and answered, "That's fine. I understand that." But for a while after that, she said nothing. She seemed to be, for once, at a loss for words. I frowned. Did she not like that answer? Is there something wrong? About what you were saying before. She finally opened her mouth, hesitantly. She was probably talking about the call I'd gotten from Serika. When she told me that she was the one who killed my parents. If that's true, what? Did you figure something out? No. Kunosato probably found Serika's words strange, just like I did. They didn't make sense. And Kunosato probably had a theory of her own, and one she was reluctant to share. But in the end, she put her hand on my shoulder without saying a word. Huh? Until now, all she'd ever done was grab me or choke me, so I was surprised. I never expected this. She's out of character, she's suspicious. Either way, you should find the answer for yourself. Make sure that whatever you do, you don't regret it. And the words she said were different than the usual, too. He is being led there. Kunosato was something nice to me? A psychic? What? Huh? Oh, no. I was so surprised that I said something I shouldn't have. I'd rather you sent me off with the last goodbye from Kay. I was a listener. Hell no. I refuse to play the role of that goody-goody suck-up when I'm not trying to manipulate information. Get going. Alright, that's a bit more closely. Red flags everywhere, but he can't see them, obviously. Yep. She pushed me away with the hand she'd placed on my shoulder. I suddenly felt embarrassed. Why had I said that? I was so embarrassed that I tried to hurry into the car. Kunosato looked at me and said, "If you really want to hear Kay again, wait till the next broadcast." I turned around and looked at her face one more time. Her features were elegant, and her beautiful, almost almond-shaped eyes were always frozen cold. They never betrayed what she was really thinking. Her personality was as cool as ice, befitting a dedicated scientist who was always willing to do whatever it took to achieve her goals, regardless of the cost. But sometimes I caught a glimpse of some burning passion inside her. She really was a mysterious girl. Oh, right, there was one last thing I had to ask her, since this might really be my last chance. What? Why are you staring at me? Kunosato, what's your power? What? The distance between us had started to shrink, but it grew back with that one question. I felt all the air around me freeze. I panicked. I saw it. In your room. Saw what? A D-sword. That was yours, right? Huh? Just as I thought things between us would end with another series of cold insults from her, Kunosato started to laugh. She kept laughing in a low voice as I stood there with my mouth hanging open. All I could do was stand there and watch. I didn't know Kunosato could laugh like that. Are you really a gigalomaniac? You can't even tell the difference between the real thing and a fake. A fake? That's just a replica I have for research purposes. My lab in America made it based off some documents from 6 years ago. It was an attempt to find out why, even if the shapes may vary, all the pipes to the Dirac Sea take the form of a sword. But it didn't work, so they gave me the useless piece of junk. It's not good for anything but taking up space, but I do use it as a way to hang up things to dry. And then she laughed again. After she was done laughing, she pushed me into the car. And before she closed the door... Oh, right. Your classmate, Ito, was it? It looks like he'll survive. Oh. You seem to have forgotten, but you promised to be my guinea pig in exchange. Come back and keep your promise. This is too nice. She's too nice, and I don't get it. I don't like it. Then she closed the door. I nodded from behind the window and mouthed the words, "Thank you for everything." Everyone really was trying to make me feel better. Everyone really did want to see me again. But now I was going alone down a path that meant that might never happen. There's something off about all this. They're too willing to help. It's quiet, huh? Yes. Shinjo said mostly to himself from the driver's seat. The Shibuya intersection was overflowing with people. They were all looking up at the footage of Memorial Park being displayed on the big TV screens. The time was 10:21 p.m. We had a lot of conversations for only like 11 minutes to pass. That's ridiculous. 7 minutes until the time when the earthquake began 6 years ago. When the time arrived, there would be a moment of silent prayer and the festival would reach its finale. Everyone at the festival seemed to be heading for the park or the intersection in front of the station to participate. I could see a man who looked like a member of the city council on the screen. From the subtitles, he seemed to be giving a speech about the restoration project. Not again. Get your head down. Alright. Shinjo had gotten this car just to take us out of Shibuya. The windows were tinted, so I didn't have to worry about anyone seeing me. But there was no way to hide from anyone looking at me from the front. Just in case, I kept myself as far down in the space below the seat as I could. We'd run into a lot of roadblocks once we entered this area, with the volunteer staff stopping us from going forward. Each time Shinjo had shown his police notebook and explained that this was a police car, and each time they'd let us through. But that meant it was taking twice as long as usual. It'll be close. We may not actually make it by 10:28 p.m. Shinjo said as he slowly weaved the car through the crowds of people. No, I'm just grateful you're giving me a lift. I would never have made it to the Hikari-wo on my own. If you get there later than that, you're more likely to run into Sakuma. You're going anyway, right? Yes. I could see Shinjo's face in the rear view mirror. He put his fingers up to the bridge of his nose, and his expression was pained. As a policeman, this is the worst thing I could possibly do. I'm sending a minor into a dangerous situation. If he's in the theater cube, I'd like to go with you and arrest him, but I don't have anything that proves his guilt. And someone's putting pressure on the higher-ups in the police department, too. It's like a cheap detective drama. Is the committee really that powerful? Almost no one knows the details. No, the person who did was buried and forgotten. Irritated, Shinjo swerved the car around a group of pedestrians that were standing in the middle of the street. I ducked down so I couldn't be spotted from outside. It was a little cramped. Was that the person you were talking about this afternoon? I remembered him talking about that. About how this case was his way of avenging a detective he respected a lot. Shinjo ignored me and kept looking forward. It felt like his silence was a yes. Huh? What? Shinjo lowered the window just a crack to hear what was going on outside. Where are you? It's almost over. Oh, I've definitely watched DBZ, Cat EV. All of it, really. Everybody's gonna think you're a screw-up. Come out. Just a bunch of drunks. In front of us, by the side of the road, was a van advertising the Restoration Festival. A group of people had climbed on top of it. They must have been college-aged, and they were holding beers in their hands. Wrong-siders, huh? Hearing them, or even seeing them, was upsetting. I leaned back into the seat, closed my eyes, and lowered my head again. Kunosato uses that word too, sometimes. Shinjo closed the window and started to drive away from all the commotion. Wrongsiders means on the wrong side of the information divide, right? Yes. I watched all the drunks pass by on the other side of the tinted windows. They don't know anything and they don't want to know anything. They don't know about the people manipulating them or what those people want. Or what the people they're talking about are going through. Violence, murder, the darkness in the human heart. They think they understand these things because they read or hear about them, but they don't ever think about what they must really be like. Blah. Soy sauce. I think with Mio being nice to Takuru, it does have a bit to do with her warming up to him, but she has everything to gain and nothing to lose in gaining info about the committee if Takuru does this. It's a sort of a transaction for her, and she's transporting the kids, so they really can't do anything about it. True, I guess. Ever since I first met you, I could tell knowing was very important to you. The first time I met Shinjo was during the Love Hotel case. You broke into the crime scene on your own. Oh, he was right. Shinjo was the one in charge of that case, and that's how we met. You're going to go see Onoe because there's something you want to know, right? Yes. I had to know what Serika was really after, and the real reason she come into existence. That's right. You could say I'm going to find out about myself. What had I wanted during the earthquake? What wish had created her? I realized for the first time that I was trying to find out more about myself than Serika. That's the same kind of person he was. Huh? I looked in the rear view mirror again. Shinjo was still watching the traffic in front of him. Oh boy, we are taking forever to get to this whole confrontation thing. All these last-minute conversations. That detective, he was obsessed with finding things out, and he was willing to do whatever it took, even if it meant going against the rest of the police force. Momose used to get mad at him all the time. She said he was getting in too deep. I see. Shinjo's voice took on a strangely different character. His tone changed from one of nostalgia to one of sorrow. And then he finally got in too deep. That was the answer to his silence before, too. Had he been killed by the committee? Excuse me. I don't know how he died, but he must have been satisfied. At least, I don't think he had any regrets. But that doesn't mean I can just accept his death. I couldn't get to him in time, and I couldn't stop him. It's frustrating. If Kurusu was here, I'm sure she'd be feeling the same way about you. I fell silent. There was nothing I could say. But I was truly glad that he was the one who read Nono's letter, and that he was the one who was helping me. When I reached the Hikari-wo, I realized that something was wrong. It was too quiet. Normally, even at this hour, the Hikari-wo would be fairly noisy, but it was completely silent. There were no murmurs, no drunken shouting like I'd heard just a moment ago. It started, huh? Oh. I checked the time. 10:28 p.m. Everyone had gathered in front of the Memorial Park or the TVs in front of the station for a silent prayer. Shinjo switched the car's navigation system to TV mode. It was displaying footage of the Memorial Park. I saw the ceremony and gasped. All the sound was gone from Shibuya. It was like a movie set. Suddenly, I was struck by a terror even greater than before. It felt like the moment of silence was for me, as I headed to my death. I forced myself to smile and tried to tell myself that I was shaking from excitement, not fear. My mind was a confused jumble of thoughts. Half of me wanted to go home and half of me wanted to stay, but I forced myself to keep going. That's right. I have to know no matter what. Shinjo tossed something at me. What is this? What is it? Wait, is this? I felt the sensation of rubber as I grabbed it. I tried to spread it out and stopped. Ironically, this is all I've got with me. I hope it's enough. No, thank you. I lowered my head in thanks. There were still people standing between me and the theater cube. Sorry, this is as far as I can go. I need to get the others out of the city. He looked at his watch. I know. Get them to Akihabara as quick as you can. Thank you. Once they're safe, I'll come right back. Don't die. Right. I wiped my sweaty hands off of my pants and nodded. Then I took a deep breath to calm myself down. I put on the sumo sticker mask that Shinjo had given me and stepped out into Shibuya utterly without sound. The silent prayer was continuing, and this was my chance. Several people looked at me as I got out of the car, but they must have been used to seeing the people in the masks. They quickly lost interest and lowered their heads once more. Everything was fine. They hadn't figured out who I was. I looked up at the Hikari Wo building, which towered above me like some kind of fortress. Final boss dungeon. The people around me all seemed suspicious, but I made it to the theater floor without anyone saying anything. But then I realized that something was wrong and stopped. There was no one on this floor. There were no customers and not even a single employee. Even the convenience store, which was open during the festival, was empty. I took off the mask. My field of vision restored, I took another look around the floor. I was right. It was completely empty. There was no sign of Serika or Dad either. The whole soundless space in front of me felt like a trap that I just walked into. No kidding! I'd taken the mask off, but it still hurt to breathe. I tossed the mask into one of the decorative trees nearby and slowly started to walk across the floor. Every shadow scared me. Each time I reached a blind spot, I would stare at it a moment before I proceeded. Where was the entrance to the theater? When I found the stairs and the escalator, I felt a wave of nostalgia. This was where I'd come with the rest of Alba Dorm. That's right, I'd gone up the stairs and into the theater. I flinched as the escalator started to move. Don't scare me like that. It was just a motion detector, I knew that, but the machine seemed to be pulling me deeper into a trap. I looked up to the top of the escalator. There was no one there. Damn it. I smacked my trembling legs with trembling hands, then slowly went up the stairs. Rival fight at the end. Yeah, there's always that rival. This was the path that led to the theater, and it was probably leading me to the finale that either Dad or Serika had prepared for me. Finally! Jeez. It's fascinating to see how pace is under different contexts. The lead-up didn't really mind playing through it. I didn't really mind playing through it since I speed read a lot of visual novels, but in context of the stream, this build of the story this section has been excruciatingly slow. No kidding! Loyal Dingo, I actually picked up this game after your first stream, but put it down because the pacing was way too frustrating for me in the last few chapters. Back to your streams to finish the story then. Yeah, it's definitely been dragging at this point. You just want to see that end, get those answers, and they're just dragging their feet. Like we've got nothing more to learn from Takuru at this point. We know his character development. And I was probably doing exactly what one of them wanted. But I had to find Serika and the answer. And there was no way that desire was in anyone's script. It was my own, I thought. I had to find out the truth, for Nono's sake as much as my own. I know this! He's been repeating this for the last 30 minutes, I swear. I went up to the entrance to the theater and put my hand on the heavy door. Like, I know a lot of a lot of anime writing is circular, but still. Huh? I felt a stabbing pain in my head the second I went inside. I staggered and leaned up against the back of a nearby chair. What? This can't be. I forced myself to endure the pain and look out around the theater. The theater was done up in the modern style with stadium seating. The stage was at the lowest point of the hall, and the seats got higher up the further you went away, so it would be easier for the audience to see. The entrance was at the far back, behind the seats. When I looked down, I could see the whole room. The stage was completely empty. There were no props or backgrounds. The lights were focused on the stage, so the rest of the theater was dark and hard to see. The seats seemed empty, too. I couldn't see anyone. I couldn't hear any movement either. My first suspicion was Dad's mind control power. But if his power worked like ours, that meant he would need to share his delusions with me in order to re-outboot them. In other words, if what I was seeing was due to mind control, Dad must be watching me from somewhere else, somewhere nearby. That's right. I suddenly got an idea and looked through my pockets. Ah, Chekhov's lollipop. I found the lollipop that Kazuki had given me. I tossed it up and imagined it floating in the air. But instead of floating, it fell down into the thin row between the seats. Good. I sighed with relief, satisfied with what I had seen. It was impossible for us to use our powers alone. If my psychokinesis wasn't working, it meant there was no one here. Oh yeah, the repetition definitely gets rough. A lot of that is because of the weekly format and needing to just slow down the pace in order to catch up with not catch up to the manga and stuff like that. But I still kept up my guard up as I walked toward the stage. If I remembered right, this place hadn't changed since the last time I was here. Come to think of it, if I'd come here to celebrate my acceptance to Hekiho Academy, it had only been 2.5 years since I'd last been here. That can't be right. It didn't seem real. It felt like so much more time had passed. Everything had changed. Nono and Yui were gone. Yudo had probably left his home and was on his way to Akihabara with Shinjo right now. And Dad... Suddenly, I heard a sound behind me and spun around. Standing there was... Oh, there she is. You. She looked just like she had when I'd seen her this morning. Not only was she not hurt, there were no signs that she'd even fought. Serika waited for the door she'd come through to close, and then slowly walked towards me. Why are you here? Her voice was quiet, but angry. She probably thought that I'd left Shibuya. Where's Dad? Dead. Yeah, that's... Oh, God. What? You'll find his severed head lying on the ground backstage. It's been partially crushed, so it might be hard to tell, though. The look on my face must have been ridiculous. Serika's voice was completely calm, and it was hard to believe she was lying. There is no way that's it. Dad was dead? Did you kill him? Her nod silently said, "Of course I did." So, why are you here? Where are Miyu Kunosato and the others? How could she be so calm after killing someone? It was terrifying to see how unconcerned she was. My thoughts, feelings, and even my words were a jumbled mess, but I managed to tell her that Shinjo had taken them all out of Shibuya by now. And then I told her why I'd come. Why did you tell me that on the phone? What did I want from you when you were born? Serika looked at me as if she was staring at something very dear to her. I knew this feeling. Serika was reading my mind. That's a creepy look. Suddenly, it appeared. Its design was far too complicated and intricate to be called a sword. It was sharp like metal, but it had a strange luster that was all its own. It was a D-sword, big enough to cover Serika's entire upper body. It was what she'd used to kill Nono. You should have escaped with the others, Takuru Miyashiro. Beyond her blade, I could see a slight change in her expression. On the way. It was the same look I'd seen before when she was talking about Dad, as if she hated everything she saw. Just as she jumped, I felt a burning heat in my right shoulder and fell to the ground. A moment later, I felt a pain like nothing I'd ever experienced before. I grabbed my shoulder with my left hand and felt something nasty, warm, and sticky. It was blood. I'd been cut. If I'd reacted even a moment later, she would have chopped my entire shoulder off. I looked up. Serika was already bringing her blade down. I forced myself to twist out of the way, ignoring the blood spurting from my shoulder. Steins Gate is probably the best pace out of all the entries in the series, to be honest. Once the oh shit moment happens halfway through, the rest of the story sprints to a breakneck pace, refusing to let up. Oh, that's nice at least. This time, the pain was in my left leg. I ignored it too, trying my best to get away. Well, we're not going to get any answers. Good job, Takuru. You suck. Serika walked over to me, slowly. I must have bit something in my mouth when I rolled because I tasted something bitter and metallic. Why? I was too late. I underestimated the committee. Serika stopped, close enough to strike me with her D-sword, and began to speak. Someone involved with Sakuma already made contact with me. There's nowhere left to run. I can't keep you alive. I don't want you to end up like the other victims. No way. That's why she was going to kill me? Just like she killed Nono with that D-sword? Takuru's voice actor is really good at the death noises. Hey, Lord Clump. The pain from the cuts kept me from thinking, and the blood loss drained away my will to resist. I couldn't feel my left leg anymore, but I couldn't stop looking at Serika. I wasn't sure. Were there any important blood vessels around the calves? I'll be dead soon too. We can talk on the other side. Serika swung the D-sword at me. And then I felt something burst within me. Good job, Takuru. I leapt at Serika. I reached out my hand without thinking and felt something warm and rough. I heard her scream in my ears. Okay. By the time I'd realized, I'd reached into the cut on her stomach and ripped out the stitches. Oh my god, by the time I realized I'd reached into the cut on her stomach and ripped out the stitches, I was already on top of her. Oh god. Her D-sword had disappeared. My hand went for her neck. Okay. My fingers dug into her flesh. The only thing I saw was the red color dripping down the base of her neck. Was it my blood from when she cut my shoulder, or hers when I ripped open her stomach, or had my nails broken the skin on her neck? Whatever it was red, and it was spreading. I couldn't stop myself from gripping tighter. My fingers dug deeper and deeper, and the soft sensation of her skin began to recede. Instead, I felt thick muscle and hard bone. This is getting gross. Okay. When it was all over, the pain in my leg and shoulder was gone. No, it was still there, but it didn't feel like my own pain. It was like I was watching myself on top of Serika from a distance. But when I took my hand off her neck, that feeling disappeared, and everything else came flooding back. Serika's eyes had rolled up into her head, and her tongue was sticking out of her mouth. I felt an unpleasant wetness in my underwear. It was her blood from where I sat on her. The blood was pouring out from the gash in her stomach. Serika wasn't moving anymore. Did I kill her? Did I strangle her to death? I suddenly felt the urge to vomit. Why? What was I doing on top of Serika? Why were my hands covered in blood? Well, this was just manipulated. My head hurt. My field of vision was red. My heart was pounding hard, and under me was the body of the girl I'd created. I cradled my head in my bloody hands. It hurt so much it felt like it was going to burst. My eyes hurt too. Everything was turning red. Huh? Suddenly, my vision cleared. The lights above the stage seemed impossibly bright, like the sun at the end of a tunnel. There was a pain in my eyes. I reached up my hand, and my fingers were covered in pink tears. Did he just suffer a delusion? And then I realized Serika wasn't here. My fingers weren't covered with blood. I twisted my neck to look at my shoulder. My clothes weren't even cut. There wasn't a single wound on my leg either. What was going on? I was sitting on the ground alone by the seats near the entrance. You're an asshole, you know that? I never raised you to be like that. I leaped up to my feet. The hell? What's he wearing? Dad? Dad was up on the stage. He was standing in the center like the lead singer at a musical. And at his feet... Onaway? Serika, the girl I thought I'd just killed, was lying at his feet. There was no blood on her clothes, and the cut on her stomach hadn't been torn open. But she must have been unconscious because she wasn't moving. Climax time. If I remember correctly, things should be better paced now. Okay. Smash Man, thank you very much for the 100 bits. Saying, sorry if this is an awkward time, but the Game Awards Twitter asked people what their front runner for the Game of the Year so far is. Naturally, Tears of the Kingdom was the most popular pick, with some people saying Jedi Survivor, Resident Evil 4, the one Wizard game. But there's also people saying Hi-Fi Rush and Pizza Tower, which I greatly appreciate. Especially Pizza Tower, which is your Game of the Year. Cool. Even when you just about killed her in her delusions, she didn't resist at all. Ain't that cute? Hold on, I just gotta text Mamie. All right. I suddenly understood what was going on. Mind control. But when? Was I already under its effects when I came into the theater? When I came inside, I felt a sharp pain and my vision had blurred for a moment. When I tested my powers with the lollipop, was I already under his spell? The pain and heat had felt so real, but it was all an illusion. But I could still feel the sensation of wringing Serika's neck. If you'd just let her kill you, it would have broken you here. If you just let her kill you, it would have broken you here too. Dad tapped his own heart. But instead, you chose to kill her. What's up with that, Takuru? Girls don't like boys who get violent. Hearing Dad talk in the same tone he always did was almost enough to get me to let my guard down. But this wasn't the man I knew. The man on the stage wasn't the Dad I knew. What is that machine? I took a good look at it. Dad was holding some kind of backpack and I could see some kind of device inside. What is he carrying? Dad was wearing a piece of headgear that connected to it. And the long cylindrical machine he was holding was connected to it by a cord. So that's it. If he had psychic powers like we did, then he had to have one too. That's like a Final Fantasy sword, like Auron would wield in 10. That was Dad's D sword, but why did he have it? I thought that those powers only appeared in brains that were still developing during the earthquake. Hey, stuff we get here before. Excuse me. That's what Kunosato had said. Oh, this? Dad saw what I was looking at and tapped his backpack with the D sword. Amazing, huh? One of the results of our research. It lets even normal people like me have powers similar to a Gigalomaniac's. This was a terminal for a certain machine. That machine used to be here, but it ran into some trouble, and that's what caused the earthquake. Those were bad times. Dad sounded like a child whose favorite toy had been broken. It was clear that he didn't care at all about the people who died, or whose lives had been ruined during the earthquake. Because of that, I lost my job. No money, no employees. It took me 6 years to put it back together. Those idiots in the committee. So that was how he'd been able to do that to Ito? And how he'd been able to kill Yui? I felt a mix of rage, sorrow, and hate. All the feelings were so strong I wanted to scream. Well, it doesn't matter. Once I deal with you, I can go back to my research. It was as if he was picking just the right words to make me even angrier. To be honest, I was a little worried. Onue came here on her own. I needed you, not her, so I thought I had a problem on my hands. He looked down at her and poked her with the artificial D sword. She still didn't move. It couldn't be. Was Serika? She's dead, obviously. Funny, ain't it? He seemed to say. Even when I put her under mind control and had her fight you in her delusions, she put her D sword away and didn't resist right up until the moment you killed her. It's amazing how much she cared about you. He kicked her hard enough that she turned over. Stop it. You, though, you were amazing. You were consumed with rage over losing Nono, and I just gave that a little boost, and then you killed her without mercy. It's amazing how much you cared about Nono, too. I could feel my whole body getting hot. Stop it. Don't say Nono's name, not with that face, not with that voice. What the hell are you thinking? Huh? The way Dad's expression didn't change at all only made me madder. Did he really not understand? We all lived together for years, right? We'd come here as a family, hadn't we? Ito and Uki are worried about you. Oh, what? You haven't told them yet? Yui always trusted you, and Nono. It started with what you said when I was helping Takuru with his physical therapy. You're doing a great job for someone who hasn't gone to school. I'm impressed. I'm sure that's just the way that a father is. I love the rules you made for our family. Thank you. Please don't drink too much. She believed in you. She thought you were part of our family. So what are you thinking? My words echoed off the walls of the theater and came back to me again and again. And then I realized that I was the same way. I believed in Dad too, from the bottom of my heart. But he... Dad chuckled and scratched his head like I'd seen him do it many times before. It was the same thing he'd done when Nono was scolding him at home. Takuru, do you have anything you enjoy doing? Huh? There's gotta be something you like, right? There's no point in living otherwise. What was he talking about? That wasn't what I'd asked. Why did you kill Yui? Why did you kill Nono? Huh? Your friend killed Yui, and this girl killed Nono. Shut up. Ooh, scary. What the hell was so funny? I clenched my hands into fists, my grip so tight in my rage that my nails dug into my skin. How? How are you capable of doing this? It doesn't make sense. Don't get so mad, okay? I just told you. You need to have fun. What the hell does that mean, though? I had great expectations for you. You were so broken that you were capable of real-booting a complete human being. I was looking forward to seeing how far you could go, how crazy you could become. Huh? If a gigolomaniac like you started doing whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted to do it, it would be amazing. You could wreck the whole world. It'd be hilarious. I couldn't wait to see it. So I observed, calculated, theorized, did more experiments. I can't wait to see what lies at the end of that loop. Isn't it exciting, Takuru? Dad kept using the same voice he always used at home. But I wasn't hearing a word. The anger inside me just kept building. What I'm saying is this. No matter what happens, do what you think is fun. Think of it as a life lesson from your dad. Dad? You're not my dad. But Dad kept smiling. Anyway, to me, gigolomaniac research is the most fun thing in the world. There's nothing else that's so entertaining. That's your answer. But that can't be. That was the only reason? The only reason he'd worked for the committee, the only reason he'd done those horrible experiments in the basement. Then the reason you did that to Yui, Nono, Ito, and all the others. How many times do I have to tell you? Because it was fun. I can't match that scream. The next thing I knew, I was running. The D-sword appeared in my hand instantly. It had no weight, but I could feel it was there. I listened to the blades roar as I ran down the corridor. And swung it upward at the bastard on the stage. Oh? There was a high-pitched noise and a brilliant light, and I stopped. My hand went numb for a second. The mechanical D-sword had blocked my swing. Here. Dad's muscles bulged like thick ropes as he swung his giant D-sword down at me. I barely managed to block it, but the impact knocked me back into the front row seats. There was a sharp pain in my arm. It had been cut a little. It was a delusion before, but this time, real blood was running down my arm. Wait, are you really thinking about getting in a fight with me? With your strength? Dad didn't move a step. He raised the giant D-sword onto his shoulders. His huge body was at least 185 centimeters tall, and he towered over me from the stage like a wall. Well, I guess I can play with my son once in a while. It's not fair to give the girls all the attention. Come on up. I do wish we had more than a single corpse for an audience, but what can you do, huh? Then he kicked Serika's unmoving body once more. I felt anger, but also indescribable despair. What was I doing here? I'd come to find out the truth from Serika, but I'd killed her myself. There was no reason for me to be here anymore. So that didn't mean there was no reason to try. So didn't that mean there was no reason to try and fight Dad? No, it wouldn't even be a fight. I'd probably just get myself killed. So maybe. When Serika had cut open my leg before, it had only been illusion. I could run to the exit. If I caught him off guard, I could escape. Maybe. But... First time chat from Legendary Anime Fan. Thank you so much for joining. I've got a visual novel game here. Have you been? Try to guess how many visual novel games I've played. Probably a lot. The fact that Sakuma's VA hasn't changed its tone from before the reveal at all. Yeah, that's pretty good direction. I don't even know how many are out there. Probably a ton, but yeah. Definitely a good bit. For sure. Damn it all. I went forward. I hadn't done any real exercise since my physical therapy 6 years ago. A vision of Nono and Yui flashed through my mind, and for some reason I saw Serika smiling like she used to do when we were in the newspaper club. What's wrong? Come on up to the stage. The audience is getting bored. Never played any. Oh, I was glass. Wow. 1010 and collect over 2000. That's a lot of stuff. A lot of books. When I looked at him, I suddenly had an idea in the corner of my mind. I remembered what he said. That the machine on his back was what gave him his power. That he was an artificial gigalomaniac. Then what if I could get rid of that machine? I might be able to do it. No, I have to do it. I stood and climbed up onto the stage. Excuse me. I'm surprised. I'm amazed you got that. You have that many visual novels. Like there's that many out. Well, not that there's that many out there, but you had the time to play that many. The light shone down upon my head. I could hear a non-existent crowd screaming for my death from the empty seats. I readied the D-sword. My hand still felt a little numb. Hey, looking like a hero, Takuru. Good stuff. I took a step to the side, trying to look as natural as possible. If he's going to use his D-sword. By moving to the side, I was able to see a part of the device on his back. I hit him with my power as hard as I could. Huh? Dad heard a noise behind him and turned around. I had a clear view of the machine. Now. I concentrated harder and hit him with more of my power. You asshole! Dad howled like a wild animal and swung his D-sword, but it didn't stop. As long as I can destroy that machine. Yeah, that's about expected. Saw that one coming. Huh? My vision suddenly blurred. I felt a cold wind on my cheek and I could see the city in the distance. Where was I? Oh, now the really long, poorly paced part of the climax. Oh, of course. On top of the school? Damn it. More mind control. I panicked and tried to use my D-sword. Huh? It was gone. The D-sword had disappeared. What the hell? Damn it! I concentrated as best I could. I imagined the pale light of the sword. Come on, come on. I couldn't see him or sense him, but Dad was probably right in front of me with his huge D-sword. But I couldn't make my D-sword appear. I couldn't see it. I couldn't find it. It was always supposed to appear when I imagined it. What did you want to talk about, Non? Serika was standing there on the roof, and so was... Don't try and fool me. With your power, you know exactly what I want to talk about. Right, Serika? It was Nono. Nono was standing in front of me, talking. Nono's alive. Nono is... No, that's not right. My sense of logic dispelled the hope that was forming in my mind. This was mind control. Dad's power was causing me to hallucinate. The two of them were right there in front of me, but didn't seem to know I was there. So you knew Nono Kurisu. Yes. Suddenly, Serika changed. The smiling, happy girl from the newspaper club disappeared. She became a cold, remorseless killer. I'm assuming we're going to get slightly more information by showing us this flashback of Takuru experiencing this flashback, but who knows if the information's being manipulated. Stop it, Onoe. I knew I was being mind controlled, but I couldn't help myself. I felt a cold chill in my heart, and all the hairs on my body stood up on end. Then you must know what's coming next, right? Serika's D-sword appeared in her hand. Nono didn't seem surprised. She just glared at Serika. Stop it. Stop it, Serika. Are you going to kill Takuru too? No, I will keep him alive. That's why I exist. I don't believe you. That's why I'm going to stop you, even if it kills me. I thought you'd say that. That's why you're in the way. I screamed at Serika as Serika stepped forward, but there was no sign that she heard me. I tried to summon my D-sword, but it didn't work. I tried to get between the two of them. And I realized I couldn't move. My legs felt like they were frozen to the ground. Why? Why? But my head was clear. I couldn't let this happen. I knew I had to stop it, but... Serika and Nono's D-swords slammed into each other. There was a flash so bright I was forced to close my eyes. And Nono's D-sword cracked. That's not good. You made a mistake. I can see exactly what you're thinking. I can't believe you still thought that I was your friend. Serika kept going forward. There was no hesitation on her face. No, don't. No matter how much I screamed, they didn't hear me. I couldn't move. Serika crossed right in front of me, carrying her gigantic, deadly weapon. There is no friendship within me. And in the next moment... Takuru, I'm sorry. It felt like Nono looked at me. Still no idea what Nono's power was. And then, Serika's D-sword ran her through. And suddenly, I was seeing something else. I felt a cold wind on my cheek and I could see the city in the distance. Huh? I could hear a sob. I'd been crying without realizing it. I looked around, forgetting even to wipe the tears from my cheeks. The roof was lit up by the moon. There was nothing here. There was no one here. Of course, there was no sign of Serika or Nono's body. Then what was that? Calm down. Calm down. It was all mind control, all just a hallucination. It was a fake vision that my dad had created. That's right, it was just like a movie. It had to be. Nono died at Serika's hand. Serika had killed Nono. That had really happened. I'd seen it. But it wasn't happening now. It was all part of the past. There was no changing it. What did you want to talk about, Non? Oh, is he? Oh God, he's in a time loop. It's in the Endless Eight. I'm not going to reread these again, unless their dialogue. I'm not going to reread. The two of them were standing there just as they were before. All right, going through it again. Get through all this. The two of them played out the exact same scene as before. There was still no sign that they'd noticed me. He's trying to drive them mad, showing Nono die again and again. My heart began to pound loudly again. I remembered how it felt to hold Nono's body in my hands. The smell of her blood and the way the warmth drained from her body. And the way her eyes would never look at me again. Calm down. I tried to tell myself that again and again. This was part of the past. Screaming wouldn't change it. No. Maybe this wasn't even part of the past. I hadn't heard this conversation. Everything except the fact that Serika had killed Nono might be a hallucination that my dad had created. I tried to run away, growing ever more frustrated at my unmoving legs. Oh God, Lash, you watched all of Endless 8? You poor thing. But nothing worked. That's right. The real me wasn't even here. I was on top of the stage, trapped in a hallucination, with Dad and his gigantic D-sword standing right in front of me. Same stuff. Serika raised her D-sword and advanced. It was coming back. I never wanted to go through that again, but it was coming back. I looked away. No, I tried to look away, but my head wouldn't move. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. Nono looked at me. Takuru, what are you doing here? What? Serika killed Nono again. Oh boy. And then I found myself back at the beginning once more. On the cold moonlit roof. I wrapped my arms around my body tightly, trying to warm myself against the freezing air. What was that? Nono had looked at me. I'd seen her looking at me. I was sure of it. She'd seen me? No, that was impossible. I wasn't really here. But that was Nono's voice I'd heard, and she'd been looking at me. If I was a real gigalomaniac, did that mean I had the power to change the past? If that was true, was that the real Kurisu, not a hallucination? Calm down. Calm down. My head hurt and I was losing the ability to think. No, this was an illusion. It was all an illusion. There was no way I could change the past. What did you... there we go. Here we go again. On my third time seeing the exact same thing, I finally closed my eyes. Stop it. I don't want to see Nono die anymore. I put my hands over my ears to block out the sound, but I could hear them speaking the same words. The last conversation Nono would ever have flowed directly into my head. Oh boy. Like, I get it. It's trying to drive him crazy, but it's driving me crazy too. I didn't have to look to know what was happening. I knew the expressions on their faces. I knew the looks in their eyes. The angle that Serika held her D-sword at, and even how she was going to swing it. I knew it all. Takuru, why won't you save me? I felt warm blood splash on my face the second I closed my eyes. There was no time to even scream. I kept my eyes closed tight, but I could feel the wind on my cheeks again. I was stuck frozen on that roof again. The muscles in my face had tensed up. There was nothing funny happening, but I was letting out a noise that sounded like laughter. My teeth were chattering. I covered my ears, but their words went right into my brain. I didn't know how I could possibly be any more confused. What was that? Why was Nono in front of me? Why won't you answer me? Stop it. I didn't want to open my eyes. I wanted to keep them shut. But for some reason, the moment Nono was killed, they opened on their own. Nono kept dying in front of me. Nono had taken care of me, had kept me safe before I'd even woken up from my coma, From my perspective, that was before I'd even known her. She was a part of my family. She was the only big sister I had, and she kept dying over and over. Why do I have to die? My head hurt, but the pain didn't even work as an anchor to keep my mind connected to reality. This no-no was a hallucination. I knew that, but the words she said were ripping apart my mind. Why didn't you save Yui? Why did you try and solve the case at all? Nono looked at me and kept asking. Were those her last words before she was killed? Her dying screams, her final message? No more. I didn't want to see her die anymore. Please, stop it. My eyes were closed, but I could see her death repeated again and again in my mind. The D-sword running through her chest. The blood everywhere, the tiny sound coming out of her throat like air leaking from a bag. Her blood was hot when it landed on my face. It didn't have that metallic smell, but it was hot. I couldn't tell anymore. Was this really a hallucination? Maybe this was the real no-no. And maybe this is what she really thought. Why didn't you save me? Why didn't you save Yui? Why did you try and solve the case at all? I told you not to do anything dangerous. I told you not to get revenge. I'm going to be very happy when this is over, Zacian. I'll be honest. It's your fault. I heard a sound somewhere. It was the sound of something snapping. I didn't want to see anymore. I didn't want to hear anymore. I didn't want to feel anymore. I closed off my mind, wanting nothing more than that. Come on, don't go into your shell now. I'm sick and tired of seeing you stop moving because of guilt. I heard a voice from somewhere speaking directly into my mind. But I held my hands over my ears anyway. I didn't want to hear anything. Fine. I'll have to make it so you can't stop then. You ever heard of woodburn heron? Anyway, see you in a month. Have fun breaking. And then, like a computer monitor being powered off, everything disappeared. What? What was this? It was dark. I couldn't see anything. I was in a huge, dark, empty space, like nothing I'd ever experienced. I couldn't even tell if my eyes were open or not. I tried blinking, but the darkness didn't change. I tried to rub my eyes to see if that helped, but my hands wouldn't move. No, not just my hands. Nothing moved. Now that is freaking terrifying. You will lose your mind easily with that whole situation. Huh? There was no sensation of standing. There was no feeling of weight in my body. Was I laying down? No. Was I floating? It was like being in zero gravity or floating in water with that. Sorry, I hit a button. Like my body was drifting along. The only thing that existed was the quiet. I could hear the sound of my heart echoing. But even in the overwhelming darkness, I felt a little better. Anything was better than seeing Nono die again and again. It didn't matter what. Compared to hearing Nono's last words over and over, I did nothing but float there. It was like being almost asleep, but there was something stopping me from falling asleep altogether. It felt weird and unpleasant. I tried to at least do something about the floating, but there was nothing to grab onto, nowhere to stand, and my body wouldn't move. I wanted something solid. I tried my best to find it. Suddenly, I realized, where was I? What was I doing here? No. This was more mind control. This darkness was another hallucination. I tried to scream and wave my arms, but there was no sound and no movement. If I couldn't move, I at least wanted to feel something with one of my senses. It could be a bright light, screaming, even pain, an awful bitter taste, or even a horrible smell. If I didn't find something fast, I'd lose track of where I ended and the darkness began. I know. What about my shoulder injury from when my dad had knocked me into the seats? I desperately tried to feel the pain in my shoulder, but it didn't work. I couldn't feel anything, even whether or not it was bleeding. It felt like the darkness was gradually burying me, like ants swarming on a piece of candy. The boundary line between my own body and the rest of the world got even blurrier. No way. I finally remembered a certain piece of information. I remembered what my dad had said just before this happened. Woodburn Heron, wasn't it? I matched the name with what was going on. That was a famous experiment, if I remembered right. Heron's sensory deprivation experiment. He would put subjects in a sound-treated room that was completely silent, then blindfolded them so they couldn't see, then tie them up with a straitjacket kept at exactly their body temperature to take away their sense of touch. Except for eating simple meals and defecating, they were kept on a bed at all times. The experiment he'd done was to see how long they could last. The results had been far less than what he'd expected. The most any of them could endure was 2 to 3 days. The worst ones would complain of disturbed thinking after only a few hours. If they continued with the experiment anyway, they would start hearing and seeing things and almost go mad. A human being can't endure long periods of time with no stress or stimulation. Yeah, I've heard of this experiment before. It is easy to go. It's why the whole punishment of solitary confinement can even be just wreck a person. The experiment was banned now because of its dangerousness. I remembered something else, something terrifying. What had my dad said? See you in a month? I was supposed to spend a month like this? I screamed, but I couldn't hear my voice. The first change was to my sense of vision. It was after about 2 days had passed by my reckoning. It would have been about dinner time. I wasn't sleepy or hungry. At some point, I just began to count numbers. 1 second, 2 seconds. It was meaningless, but I felt like I'd go mad if I didn't do something. When I just passed about 100,000 seconds, the darkness in front of me suddenly began to shine. What? Who's there? It wasn't a camera flash or a light bulb. It was just a blurry glow. That was all. I couldn't see anything else or even move. When I saw it, I lost track of my number and started over. The light came every 100,000 seconds. A day was 60 times 60 times 24, so 86,400 seconds. Perfect. I decided to round up and call each 100,000 seconds a day. When there was no light, I was bored. I wished so many times for something to happen. Someone, come here. Even Dad, I didn't care. I'd rather be fighting a battle with D-swords that I knew I couldn't win. No, actually, I'd rather be stabbed with a D-sword. I wanted to feel pain. I thought that when the light came for the 30th time, I could escape, because that would mean a month had passed. A month was 30 days. But nothing happened. The light just kept coming at the same pace as before. When the light came again after 30 days had passed, I stopped counting how many times it had come. I stopped counting to 100,000 too. What's the point of counting anyway? You're going to stop counting? No. I heard that clearly. I started hearing voices sometimes when I neared the 30th appearance of the light. Are you just going to die like this? What's Miyashita Park like? Hey Miyashiro, how do you know Gen? Adios gracias. Why did you leave me to die? You idiot, are you just going to die here? The newspaper club is just getting started, right? Tell me, why didn't you save me? It hurt so much when I died. You ever heard of Woodburn Heron? The voices came and disappeared without listening to my responses. I at least wanted to see their faces. I was already starting to forget what everyone looked like. Maybe if I saw them again, I could stop the darkness from swallowing up all my memories. I'll let you out of here. I'll go kill Dad for you. Really? I tried, but it didn't work. I couldn't do it alone. Should we help? I am Groot. Really? You'll do that for me? Don't underestimate the power of a teenage girl. Adios gracias. Wait. What's wrong, Brother Takuru? No, don't tell me you're lonely all by yourself. Give me a break. That's not true. Of course I'm not lonely. No, I wanted to tell you to be careful. Dad's power is... What was it again? What's wrong? Where's Sakuma? I can't go kill him if I don't know. Tell me. You're wasting time. That's strange. He should be right there. Huh? There? Where's there? Takuru, have you ever heard of Woodburn Heron? Don't you know I'm a right-sider? Of course I know. He's the guy who came up with the theory that a day is 86,400 seconds. Oh boy, we are losing it. Huh? Amazing, right? I was slowly breaking and melting away. Suddenly, I felt something stabbing me somewhere. It was the pain I'd been longing for, but I didn't care anymore. I was just tired of it. I'll kill you. No, please don't stab me. Why? I don't want to die. Why? Because it hurts. You aren't feeling any pain. Takuru, are you really there? No kept stabbing me as if she was trying to find out where I was. When that sound finally stopped, I heard a wet, slopping noise. I could tell her hands were jammed inside my body, rummaging through my guts. I could imagine the blood. But No was right. I didn't feel any pain. That's strange. It hurt a moment ago. No, let me see you. I'm sorry. You can kill me if you want. Why? Because I want to see you. I want to see anybody. I'm lonely. No. Why? Why did you leave? No, wait. Was that really No? Was that Nona's voice? Did she really talk like that? Oh, boy. Certainly a way of saving budget. No kidding, 556. Wait a second. What was Nona's last name? That orphanage. I was blanking out on the place's name. There were 2 sisters there. What were their names? Or wait, was it a brother and a sister? Everything was turning black. Who was that girl who always told me not to lie? Who was the one that in the white lab coat? The one who didn't talk. The one who always seemed scared. Who'd been stabbing me a moment ago. You don't know? You're a terrible person, aren't you? Shut up. Shut up! Suddenly the noises started to bother me. I didn't want to be criticized by these people when I didn't even know their names. Please, somebody kill. Ow. I was surprised by a sudden fierce pain in my head. I could feel the blood flowing into my head. How many months had it been since I'd felt pain so clearly like this? No, how many years? Or maybe decades? How long are you going to keep doing that? It hurt a lot more for me. I said, shut up! All of you, shut up! I screamed back at the voices. I don't know who you people are. All of you just disappear. Save me. Save me. When I said someone's name, everything became better. All the voices disappeared, and the pain in my head was gone. Taku, are you okay? Huh? You're not hurt. Nope, you're good. She was right next to me, as if that was the most natural place in the world for her to be. Onoe, what are you doing here? Huh? I'm always by your side, Taku. That was impossible. When my dad used his mind control on me, I'd killed her. That's right. I remembered. Dad had used his mind control on me. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. Oh, good night, Gregster. Sorry about that. And hi, Hair is live. Yeah, we're getting close to the end, but we are going through some madness inducing stuff on purpose, but yeah. In the theater cube at the Hikari Well. So this was all just a delusion of mine? Yep, just like old times, huh? Serika laughed. I didn't know why. So, how do you like it? What? Mind control. How's it feel? It's pretty rough. Yeah, it looks pretty comfy. You don't get hungry either, right? Serika looked around into the empty void. She was acting like she'd just come over to check out a friend's new house. Listen, you know how much it sucks not being able to move if it ever happened to you. Sure, I don't think I could handle it, but you went through that during your physical therapy, right? When I tried to move back then, I felt pain. Even if I wasn't moving, it felt like I was trying to move. Is that how it works? Serika tilted her head at me. What's happening on the other side? The other side? Reality. I mean the me in the theater cube. I'm probably lying on the ground after he used his mind control on me, right? I didn't even have the slightest idea how much time had passed. But it had to have been much longer than a day or two. The Restoration Festival was probably long since over, and I might have starved to death. I don't think so. If you're talking with me right now, that means you're alive, right? That's true, but you're the one who always talked about how you had to put your information together and think things through logically, right? Oh. So maybe time flows differently here and on the other side. That's right. That's possible. Kojima's a big fan of the series. Oh, actually, is he really? Wow. What happened to Hina and the others? Hina? Alright, Hine Arimura. How had I forgotten about her? I think she escaped Shibuya with Shinjo and the others. Who are the others? Uki and Yudo and Kunosato. She's getting his mind back together. Huh? What about Hana? She wasn't directly involved in the case, so I had her stay in Shibuya. I see. And then Serika started asking me one question after another. Could I really not move? Was the light I sometimes saw a hallucination? Were the voices I heard imaginary? I took a long time answering each one in as much detail as possible. I had plenty of time after all. And just the act of having a conversation was wonderful. It was something I'd done all the time in my daily life and at the newspaper club. Come to think of it, who had first used the phrase, "You don't know what you've got till it's gone," and when did they use it? I don't know. I should have brought my Pokecom, maybe. I laughed a little, though I wasn't sure if Serika was serious or joking. Each time I would answer one of her questions, Serika's expression would change. She'd laugh or get mad, and sometimes she'd even try to correct me. She really did seem like a normal person. But what is it? You used to be a delusion of mine. You didn't really exist. Aw, you found out, huh? She acted just like a kid who'd been caught while playing hide and seek. How did it look to other people? If she wasn't real, I must have spent all my time as a kid talking to empty air. I think it was just like you're thinking. But not that many people saw us together, right? Just your parents, mostly. Oh, and Senri in the hospital basement. That was a screw-up. That's how Non found me out, you know? That's right. Serika and I spent almost all of our time in my room. I'd never been to her house. No, according to Kunosato, her house didn't exist. You should have told me. I couldn't do that. She laughed, but she seemed a little bothered. But what about that one time? The Shibuya earthquake. Oh. I remembered carrying Serika through the hell that was post-earthquake Shibuya. But if she'd only just been born when I'd had that headache when I was in the Yoyogi shelter, I hadn't been really carrying her on my back at all. Only then did I remember why I was here. It wasn't to talk about old times. I don't know, but maybe you just seemed a little off. Not much worse than that. I was unconscious, so you didn't really talk to me much. And with everything else going on, I don't think anybody cared if you were talking to yourself or walking a little funny. Huh? Taku? Huh? What's wrong? Nothing. If I could have moved my body, I would have been looking straight back into Serika's eyes. When I created you, what did I want from you? You know, I'm not sure. She didn't seem surprised or upset at all. I only know what you know right now. And only the me in the real world knows the answer to that. Yeah, that's right. The Serika in front of me might look alive, but she was really just a delusion of mine. So she wouldn't know anything that I didn't. I created her again to help me get through this torture. She was just... Oh. Huh? And when I realized it, I was disgusted with myself. I felt so pathetic that I wanted to cry. How could I be so shameless? I killed the real Serika. Even if it was a trap created by dad's mind control, I'd still killed her with my own hands. She'd almost killed me, and then I'd lost control and killed her instead. I turned open her stomach injury, then strangled her. Saying I'd been mind controlled was just an excuse. The rage and desire to kill her I'd felt had been real. Even without the mind control, if the same thing happened in reality, I'd do it again. I'd kill her. But Onoe was different. Even when the imaginary me tried to kill her, she'd chosen to die rather than resist, unlike me. But then I wished for her again, just like I'd done during the Shibuya earthquake. And I'd come to her for help again. I couldn't handle the darkness on my own, so I created her. I could not imagine a worse person than myself. You shouldn't let it bother you, you know? I'm having fun. Enough. Stop it. If you hadn't called me here, we wouldn't get to talk. Don't tell me exactly what I want to hear. Come to think of it, Serika had always been like that, ever since I was little. Even when I was neglected, she was always jealous of me. She always made me think that I was better off than she was. Whenever I wanted to show off some new piece of information I'd learned, she'd always acted interested. She'd pretend to be a stupid girl so that I'd always get to think of myself as a right-sider. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. Taku? Serika looked hurt when she saw me apologize. Why don't you understand? You don't have to apologize. This is what makes me happy, she seemed to say. But she only looked that way because I wanted her to. My ego and desire had created the role of a kind-hearted young girl that she was forever forced to play. The two of us were like that for a little while. I kept apologizing, and Serika seemed to not want to hear it. Oh boy. Eventually, she spoke to me like a mother scolding her child. But Taku, that doesn't mean you can forgive me. What? I killed Non, right? But the reason may be my fault. May be my fault. Whatever. No, it wasn't a maybe. There had to be something connected with me. But I'm dead, so you can't ask me now, right? Serika was right. No, I was forcing her to be right. So then, of course, I knew what she would say next. Serika's voice became a light, the one thing that lit up my path in this dark world. What do you want to do, Taku? Suddenly, I saw a scene I remembered well. Until a moment ago, the blackness had kept me from remembering, no matter how hard I tried to imagine them. I gotta say, I know you warned me, soy sauce, but my God. Like, I get it. I get it. There had to be a way to shorten this, but my God, I get it. I gotta say, this is the worst part of the game for me. It's like we're right on the cusp of learning things and it's just taking so damn long. But now I could see my family. They must have been getting ready for dinner. I smelled something good. I looked in the kitchen and saw a lineup of dishes fit for a nursing home. Yui, Uki, if you take cooking lessons from Nono, they're going to start calling you Mom and Granny at school. Yudo was in the corner sulking because Yui had made fun of him. Yui was looking at him and laughing. Uki didn't know what to do. We understand your pain. 100%. No. It was the same thing I'd seen a million times before. Nothing was different. Everyone was in the club room going over the case. We seemed to be talking about Shibuya news. Kunosato had updated some information. Kazuki was playing her game. Ito went to stop her, but froze when she offered him a piece of dried squid. Arimura told a stupid joke, and Ito blushed and started to shake his head frantically. There was still no expression on Kazuki's face. This was another scene I knew well. But this world was never coming back. My dad had destroyed it. Are you okay with that? Of course not. I loved my family. I loved my friends. Those places were the most precious things I had. He'd ruined them all, and when I'd asked him why, the only reason he could give me was that it was fun. I couldn't let him get away with that. No matter what I did, Yui and Nona weren't coming back. The life I'd had with my friends was gone. My feelings began to break free from the darkness and come to life again. Blood flowed through my body once more, and my senses started to return to me. That's right. I have to get revenge. Even if that meant breaking my promise to Nono. I didn't care what my dad was trying to accomplish with this experiment or what was happening to me. He wanted something from me. What was it? I didn't even want to know. You don't want to try and find out? No. I didn't care. I refused to go crazy like he wanted. Huh. That's not like you. Shut up. But I kind of want to see what you look like when you're letting your emotions take control. I smiled back at her, and then I focused all my neurons on creating a delusion. Where had I been? Who was I so angry at, and where were they standing? If I was in a prison of delusions created by that machine, then I'd have to come up with a delusion that was even more powerful. It's the initial final episode of Ava. And then I'd pull him into my own delusion. The way I remembered it, it was like this. Wasn't it a little brighter? The lights were shining down on the stage, right? Were they? Yeah, I think about this much. Oh, and he was closer. Closer, huh? How about this? Okay, those long hours with the camera really paid off, huh? Serika walked around the stage, checking to see if there was anything I'd missed. She must have been satisfied because she nodded several times. Is the place you're standing okay too? Is the place you're standing okay too, Taku? If I'm still where I was, then yeah. What if you aren't? I'll come up with something when the time comes. There's no sure way to do this, you know. Serika pretended to be impressed with what I'd said. I laughed at myself too. Was I really the type of person who was brave enough to do something like this? I used to think that risky decisions weren't courageous, but stupid. I used to think that courage was just a word people used to hide their stupidity. Oh, right, Taku? Don't try to revenge me, okay? What? You have to get revenge for Non, but no taking revenge for me. Got it? That's... Just listen to me. The only person you're allowed to think of when you do it is Non. Got it? I'm sorry, and thanks. Those were the only words I could come up with. I didn't know what else I could say. Come on, Taku, get a hold of yourself. Otherwise, why did I come here? Serika pouted a little. It was the same thing she used to do in the newspaper club. I tried to stop my tears from welling up again. I'm fine. I'm in control. Have I ever not been in control? Well, there was that one time, or the other time, and then... Stop counting them on your fingers. She laughed. And then she looked right in my eyes. You'll probably only have one moment where he's off his guard when you come back. So your chance... One chance is plenty. That's right. I would only have a few seconds in the world of my delusion. And a few seconds when I got back to reality. I'd probably have less than 5 seconds in total. If he'd been researching psychics for as long as he said, he'd notice what I'd done immediately. So I'd only get one shot. If it didn't work, he'd kill me this time. Serika looked relieved when she saw my resolve. And then she smiled and started to fade away, as if her job was done. At the same time, I felt a stabbing pain in my head. It was the pain from when the D-sword appeared. Here it comes. This'll be a risky bet, okay? I think we're finally getting to the good stuff again. You're betting your own life, okay? Okay. You won't get to make any excuses for your dumb decision, okay? Okay. Then go. Get up on that stage, Taku. Ooh, get theme song. So this is when you can tell things are really going happening. This would have been an entire episode of an anime. I slammed my own delusion down on top of the one that held me. It was like splattering bright paint on a black canvas. In a single instant, a perfect replica of the theater appeared. Yes, it was working. By the way, how's my sound levels compared to the song? Pretty decent song, by the way. Sound is good? Okay. Dad was in front of me. He looked surprised. I could tell from the shock on his face that he hadn't yet realized that this was a world of delusions sitting atop another delusion, and that I dragged him inside. The machine on his back started to creak and moan. Its shape was becoming warped and distorted, as if it was being crushed by an invisible giant. I screamed louder as I tried to use my power to destroy it. Dad stepped back as if to protect it, the look on his face making it clear that he still couldn't believe what was happening. But it was too late. Crush it. Probably demonetized, but that's been the case of this entire series. Either is demonetized or sharing monetization, so whatever. Crush it. I hit him with a stronger delusion. The outer frame couldn't take the stress and the machine started to break. You little shit. Dad panicked and raised his D-sword to use his mind control on me again. A red light flashed in front of me, but it wasn't the mind control again. It was the opposite. This was the key for the plan that the other Serika and I had come up with. Dad, Sakuma, had made a mistake. He thought I had escaped from his mind control on my own. He thought that I had escaped from that delusion and made it back to reality. So he did just what we hoped he would, and ended the mind control that was on me now, even though I was still inside that dark prison. If Dad had stayed calm, he would have noticed his mistake immediately. But it was all so sudden that he panicked and made the wrong decision. That black torture chamber was gone. And in that instant, I canceled my own delusion. The bonds that had tied me in place were gone. My senses came back and told me that this was reality. The pain of my injury, the smell of blood, the taste of blood, and the feeling of the D-sword in my hand, Dad howling as he stood there with his fake sword raised high. But just getting back to reality wasn't good enough. I only had a few seconds, probably. I needed to destroy the real device before he figured out the trick. Run. I forced my aching body to move and ran at full speed towards my foe. I lowered my body as I ran and held the D-sword ready. A new attempt at mind control came at me. I could feel it trying to scramble my brain, but I wasn't stopping. I couldn't stop. I bit down hard on my lip and used the pain to check my 5 senses. You're still okay. Don't stop. Run. Keep running. I swung the D-sword down at my father. Dad tried to dodge it, but that was just what I wanted. He ducked low, and I could clearly see the device on his back. I slammed the D-sword down into it hard before he could move. That's that. Think you can play the opening at the full in full at the end of finale? I don't recall ever seeing it. Plus, do call something spoilers. Yeah, I'll do it at the very end, so you can see just how many spoilers it has. Panting, I pulled the D-sword out of the device. Parts flew everywhere. The strange light it had been giving off disappeared, and the artificial D-sword he was holding lost its shine. The pain created by his mind control attempts vanished like it was never there. As soon as I saw the device was destroyed, I fell to my knees. I used my power while running at full speed, and it hurt to breathe. I was dizzy from lack of oxygen. You piece of... Dad's mood suddenly began to change. He seemed to realize what I'd just done. The smile on his face vanished, and instead of anger, there was no expression at all. Do you know how hard I worked just to get this thing put back together? I never heard him use a tone like that before. What? Why didn't you break? Why are you alive? No, why are you still sane? There's no way you could have endured that. I know I locked you in there for 30 days. Did I screw up? No. There's no way that guy could do it, and I couldn't. I used the D-sword as support to help me to my feet. It was fine. I could move. I could move just the way I wanted to. I was sure of it. I made it back to reality. Answer me. How can you move? I readied the D-sword again without saying a word. There was still no expression on Dad's face. I see. Her, huh? So that's it? I looked down. Serika was lying there, looking like she was asleep, even though she was dead. Dad's anger vanished, and instead he started to speak like a scientist observing a guinea pig. That was even creepier somehow. So your imaginary friend was enough to get you through it, huh? I didn't see you going to the person you just killed for help. Damn it. Now that's no fun at all. Dad raised the now dull D-sword and came towards me. It was no longer an artificial D-sword, but it was still a giant metal blade. Even without his powers, it was more than capable of killing me. I stepped away from him, my own weapon at the ready. It felt like if I looked away from him, I'd be killed. I told you to go mad, didn't I? Didn't I? The iron blade suddenly came down. There was an impact on my face. I felt some of my back teeth break and blood spurted from my mouth. Ow, God, teeth. Ugh. I hate stuff that happens to teeth. I'd been knocked onto the floor. I swung the D-sword in my hand frantically. For a moment, I experienced the pain and light that were caused by mind control. Was that thing still working? It wasn't broken? It had to be. Excuse me. I dropped the D-sword in despair. It vanished. But the mind control never came. My attack a moment ago had damaged it. It's really broken. You goddamn kid. Well, this isn't going well. Sakuma's iron sword struck me on the left leg. An indescribably awful pain ran up my spine and smashed into my brain. I should have just used the mind control to put you in the torture room from the start. Maybe I'll torture you for real right now. How'd you like that, huh? This is not going well. It hurt. The pain was unbearable. Was this plan stupid after all? Was there no way to win? Take this. Nah. There's nothing new to be learned by driving someone mad with pain. What happened to my leg? My body? Were they still there? I couldn't move, just like in that black pit prison. Maybe I'll kill them all in front of you then. Huh? I could hear those words clearly, even as my whole body screamed from pain. They're probably still in Shibuya, right? The instant I understood what he meant, I forgot the pain coursing through my body. Yeah, that's right. The more important they are to you, the better it'll work. He kicked me and I rolled along the ground. Then he started to walk away. Wait. My throat hurt as I screamed. It was frustrating how I couldn't even speak. He was leaving. He was going somewhere. Where? Where else? To where they were. He was going after the people I loved. I won't let you go. I tried to stand up, but the leg he'd struck wouldn't move, and I fell to the ground. I hit my face on the floor. My left leg wouldn't move. Was it broken? It was the one place I didn't feel any pain. No, I'm pretty sure you don't have that leg anymore. Damn it. My body wouldn't move. Why? I'd finally made it out of that darkness, right? I couldn't just let him go. Move. I don't care what moves. Move. He was going to kill them right in front of me? Kill Arimura? Kill Uki? Kill Yuto? Kill Kunasato? I wouldn't let him. Poor Shinjo. No mention. I wouldn't let him do it. As my vision blurred from the pain, I saw Serika's body lying on the ground. You have to take revenge for Non, but no taking revenge for me. Got it? I won't let you. I howled. And my D-sword appeared as if an answer. And then it sliced through the air toward my dad as he walked away. What? Oh, God! Oh! Yikes. Yeah, that did the trick. My dad turned around at the noise just in time for the D-sword to impale his throat. Yeah, he kind of deserved that one. And then he slowly fell backward to the floor. Shinjo, I hope you get back here soon because we are bleeding out. I somehow managed to endure the pain that was coursing through my body and stand up. There was blood everywhere on the stage. I avoided it, dragging my unmoving left leg as I walked towards the body that used to be my dad. The D-sword was still shining as it stuck out of his throat. I made it disappear. When I saw what was left, I didn't feel a sense of accomplishment or anything else, just an urge to vomit. He was lying on the ground. I'd killed him. I'd killed my dad. What the hell is going on? How could this have happened? Taking revenge for Nono and Yui didn't make me feel better at all. I didn't feel happy at all. Huh? I realized I was crying. I didn't know how long I'd been crying, but my tears were red. Everything around me felt like a lie. I was having trouble standing up, and not just because of my injury. This was how it felt to cross a line that you should never cross. I tried to smile and forget my tears. What was I doing? Was this how it felt to break my promise to Nono? Oh right, Serika. I remembered the real reason I'd come here. There was something I wanted to ask her. I looked away from Dad and walked over to Serika, dragging my leg behind me. That's right. That's not happening now, is it? I looked down at Serika and reached out my hand. I wanted to at least fix up her clothes where they'd been messed up. There was a loud, heavy noise and an impact around my stomach. You've got to be kidding me. Even if he dies, the mind control lingers, I think they said before. What was that? I looked down at my body trying to find the source of the sound and the noise. And there was a D-sword sticking out of my stomach. It was the same one that had taken Nono's life on the roof of Heikiho Academy. "10:50 p.m. The second Shibuya Restoration Festival was now over. The murmuring among the crowd at Memorial Park started as soon as the ward mayor finished his speech. Some people headed straight for the station, glad to be done. Some people were so moved by the speeches given by the victims that they stood in front of the memorial, wiping away their tears. Some people went out to go drinking since it was Friday. They'd all come to the Restoration Festival for different reasons. But even now, when all the planned festivities were over, there were still some people who hadn't seen what they'd come for. What? He's not here. What idiot said he was going to be here? The whispers started all over the place. And others agreed, even though they would never say it. They all looked around with searching eyes. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing is, they allow for the repeat playthroughs to fast skip through things. Everyone was looking for Takuru Miyashiro. The same time, Shibuya Scramble Crossing. This place was even more packed than Memorial Park, and the reaction was even stronger. Huh? Of course he's not going to kill himself. Don't believe everything you read, you dumbass wrong-sider. Wow, that ticks me off. Some started to say that the whole thing was a hoax, and more people began to leave. The ones that didn't move at all were the ones in the masks. They were waiting for Takuru Miyashiro more than anyone. But the festival was over. When the heat and passion of the festival began to fade, and reality came crashing in, they began to doubt. He was the mastermind behind all those murders. They thought it would be nothing for him to commit suicide in public. But were they wrong? Or was someone that brilliant capable of making an announcement like that, then managing to escape? The ones that stood in groups began to stare at each other with their three-eyed masks, trying to guess what the others were thinking. Should they move somewhere with less people? They waited for someone to suggest it. What's that? And then, something happened that saved them. At the center of the commotion were police officers, running somewhere in a hurry. No, wait a second, I'm telling you. Shinjo kept suggesting that they get confirmation, but his boss ignored him. When the information had come in, he lost his ability to control the situation. Wait, damn it! He cursed at the phone as they hung up on him. This was bad. This was really, really bad. What's wrong? Kunosato, I told you to wait in the car. You made me wait too long. What happened? Shinjo looked at the time. It had already been 10 minutes after he'd gone back to Alba Dorm and gotten everyone into the car. There was an anonymous call. They know that Miyashiro is at Hikariwo. What? It was probably the first time he'd ever seen her go pale. Who told them? I don't know. HQ insisted it doesn't matter. Shinjo had repeatedly asked for a source, but it didn't help. From the way his boss had been acting, it was possible that they didn't even know where it had come from. Our officers are on their way to the Hikariwo now. What will you do? Now that the police knew that Miyashiro was at the Hikariwo, there was no time to go to Akihabara and back. He had to be there. It was his job. He was the detective in charge of the case. And if Miyashiro was going to be arrested, he was the only one who could help. But getting the kids from Alba Dorm out was something that only he could do. What should he do? He kept asking himself that. Go. We'll escape Shibuya on our own. What? But you don't know what's going to happen if you try. That's why he remained as a guard. I'll figure something out. Just leave the car. Huh? She couldn't mean he had a bad feeling. Did Kunosato have an international license? Is this the time to be worrying about unlicensed drivers? Go. Listen. Suddenly his phone began to ring. This time it was from one of his men. There wasn't even time to think about it anymore. He prayed as he tossed Kunosato the key. There are kids in that car. Don't do any crazy driving. Of course. Who do you think I am? Call me if something happens. If that doesn't work, run into any police box and give them my name. Shinjo ran off without waiting for an answer. Shinjo. Huh? He turned around. Kunosato had a totally earnest look on her face as she spoke. The accelerator is the one on the right, isn't it? Shinjo had to force himself not to go grab the keys out of her hand. Look it up on the internet, wrong sider, he yelled as they ran toward the Hikari Wo. I honestly got a joke. How is he still alive? It was cold, and I was sleepy. My body wouldn't move. Huh? Was I back in that world? That dark prison? No. I could still feel pain. My senses were still working. Then what was this? I remembered where I was. I'd passed out? My back, my stomach. I felt the warmth fading from my body with each drop of blood I lost. But my wounds burned like someone who was pressing a soldering iron up against them. And yet for some reason, I felt sleepy. This didn't make sense. My whole body had stopped making sense. I heard footsteps. They were getting further away. I forced my eyes to open and look toward the source of the sound. The first thing I saw was my dad's body, the body of the man I'd killed. Until a moment ago, he'd still been a person. And beyond him, I saw her through my blurry eyes. Onaway? She was getting further away. It was Serika. She was alive. She was walking. She had just put her phone in her pocket. She was walking across the stage. Probably she was heading for the exit, high among the seats. She didn't look back. Why are you alive? It wasn't an hallucination. At least it shouldn't have been. No one was left who could use mind control. Wait. Onaway, wait. There's something I have to ask you. That's why I'd come. Move. Move, damn it. Come on, this is supposed to be my body, right? Why wasn't it moving when I tell it to? Serika stepped off the stage. She made her way through the seats to leave. She was about to disappear. No, don't wait. Please, come on, move. Suddenly, I felt a familiar pain in my head. I obeyed my intuition and let it go. The D-sword appeared in my hand. That's right, I could do it. Just like I'd done before. I used my powers to fling the D-sword at Serika. I didn't care if it landed at her feet or where it landed at all. I just had to stop her. Serika sensed it coming and turned around. At the same time, a light appeared around her. Her D-sword appeared from within the light, and she grabbed it. And easily blocked the incoming blade. When the two swords hit, my vision went white. You want me to use mind control on you? Yes. What? What was going on? What was I looking at? I've got a lot of questions, but can I start by asking why? I read Nono Kurisu's mind before I killed her. She left a letter behind. I see. How heartrending. So she knew she was going to be killed then. The police probably already have it. Sooner or later, Takuru Miyashiro is going to read it. And when that happens, Miyashiro will be held back by her death and by what's inside. He'll try to do what the letter says. And what does it say? Don't try and get revenge. Give up on the case. Huh. Finally, answers just took almost 3 hours. Oh my god. If that happens, Miyashiro will stop for sure, and that's a problem for me. So I have to make him interested in something besides revenge or the case. I have to make him interested in me. That will cause him to act. Yeah? How do you know that? I know everything there is to know about Miyashiro. That's who I am. So why do I have to use mind control? Because he'll have Hine Orimura with him. I want to neutralize her power. If the mind control causes me to believe the lie, it stops being a lie. Orimura will think it's the truth, and so will Miyashiro. Oh, the same trick we used with that Ito kid. Serika was talking with Dad. The vision was unclear, like it was wrapped in fog. But this whole thing's such a pain, though. It would be so much easier to use mind control on Takuru himself, right? Hey, don't get mad. I want to minimize the use of mind control on him as much as possible. It damages the brain, correct? Yes, but I'm going to use it one more time at the very end. No way can I beat a Gigalomaniac without it. Just one more time. Got it? Got it. I could see the two of them talking. It looked like an old movie shown through a projector that was slightly out of focus. But I wasn't really seeing it. The vision seemed to be coming directly into my mind. Oh boy. I am, figuring out what the heck is going on here. Okay, next. What kind of mind control do you want? The script will work like this. First, you've lost contact with the committee, and you want to get back in their good graces. Make me believe this lie. Second, you've betrayed me and are trying to make Takuru Miyashiro out to be the criminal in order to win the committee's favor. Make me believe this as well. Third, make me tell him himself, at the appropriate time, that I was the one who killed his parents. And finally, change the reason I exist. That's right. That's right. These were probably Serika's memories. Were her memories coming into me via the D-sword? You want me to involve me in your lies too? I have to. There's another person besides Orimura who's a threat to the plan. Mio Kunasato. Her, huh? I see. Oh my god. Was Serika the mastermind behind this entire thing the entire time? Double back type thing? She knows too much about what's going on. That's why we make up the story about the committee. Whenever the committee's involved, she stops thinking straight. If we can make her think that I have information on the committee, she'll never let me go. Ironically, thanks to her, I'll be able to stay near Miyashiro. You're a scary woman. You figured all that out on your own, or is this thanks to your mind reading? I'm the one who's controlling all the characters in this game. Game? I remembered something. The theory I'd come up with in the newspaper club room. That it was like the killer was challenging me to a game. That the killer was moving people around like chess pieces. And that they wanted me to be the other player in the game. But once my dad identified himself as the killer, I'd given up on my theory. I thought that I was wrong. But maybe I was right? I see. A game, huh? I like anything that's fun, though I don't like the idea of changing the reason you exist, even for a short while. You don't need to get involved. All you want is data on Miyashiro, on the true Gigalomaniac, right? I'll give you what you want. Well, that's true. Though I've said this before, the chance of Takuru's mind enduring what I'm planning on doing to him is 0. I picked this method of torture up directly from the guy who ran that basement facility under AH Tokyo General. Don't underestimate him. I've said that many times before as well. You don't mind if I break him, do you? We both decided that you wouldn't interfere. If you didn't have that mind control device, I would have killed you first. Sounds fun. Want to try it? You scum. Oh, one more thing. Why do you need me to make him look like the killer? You just want him to solve the case, right? That's... And of course they're going to cut it there. My vision blurred. There seemed to be a chorus of buzzing inside my head. This feeling, it was the same as when I used my power. The same as when I saw the D-sword in the corner of my vision. Another vision came to me through her D-sword. The him inside him speaks to me. I'm different from other people. Lots of people say that, but most of them are wrong. They're all wrong-siders who just don't realize it. I'm the only one who's really different. Was this me? I survived the nightmare of the Shibuya earthquake, and someone killed my parents. The definition of special has something that clearly differentiates it from others. Sakuma thought he was backstabbing Serika, but Serika counted that into her plan. My God. Few people have experienced these things. That's why. That's why I'm really special. Hey, did I ever tell you about the comments from the Shibuya earthquake victims? Huh? What do you mean? Remember how just after the chaos when the earthquake calmed down, a ton of reporters started asking the victims for comments? Before the term Chaos Child Syndrome existed. Most of the interviews were about what good citizens we were. After that huge disaster, there was barely any violence or looting. They said this was amazing. And I think they were right. When they asked the victims what was the hardest part, most people were more concerned about others than themselves. They talked about how they couldn't contact their families and tell them they were safe. Or how they couldn't give their kids their favorite foods. But then one person said something different. I remembered what they had said word for word. It had left a huge impression on me. You outsiders have some nerve if you're telling us to hang in there. I remembered. It was what I'd said to Serika at the cafe. It was just after the Love Hotel incident. It's incredibly important to him that he be a part of things. That's who he really is at his core. I don't know how you people can get so worked up over a single tweet. I could never do that. Let's go check out that arson site from yesterday. It's close to here. This one looks pretty good. He dived deep into the internet, drowned in information, and tried to become a right-sider to help himself swim. And he chose an urban legend to test his abilities. That broadened his interest into real-world crimes. It all began with... When we were in 6th grade, the New Generation Madness happened. That was 2009. It was like we'd gone crazy. What was this? This was me yesterday. How? Was Serika's D-sword reading my memories now? At first, we couldn't believe that something like that was happening in the city we lived in. We spent almost a whole day glued to the computer, following the news. When something big like that's going on, if you take your eyes off the internet for even a few hours, you'll get left behind. We stayed up all night in shifts following the case. Sometimes we'd use our cell phones to read the internet, as we actually went out to the crime scenes and took pictures. Serika hadn't been real then, but she'd been with me anyway. More murders kept happening, and eventually they started to say Takumi Nishijo was the killer, but eventually that turned out to be wrong. Serika and I were both very excited. He seemed so cool. Proving your innocence means getting the right information and shoving it in the faces of the people whose information was bad, right? It seemed like the ultimate expression of what I was trying to do then, and I guess I'm still trying to do now with the newspaper club. Serika said he was amazing. I agreed. Oh, one more thing. Why did you need me to make him look like the killer? You just wanted him to solve the case, right? Because that's how it was during the New Generation Madness 6 years ago. It ended with the person who was believed to be the killer clearing his name and solving the case. I know how obsessed you are with the New Generation murders. It was your idea to make all the dates match and have people start calling it the return of the New Generation madness. The whole reason you patterned the murders off the New Generation killings and left the sumo stickers at the scene for Takuru to find was to let him solve the return of the New Generation madness, right? Then was the theory that I'd come up with in the newspaper club room right? It was Serika who was manipulating the characters and setting up the game? And her real goal was me. You came up with the murders. Don't blame those sick things on me. Huh. I have to at least test out my mind control a little, or it's no fun. But we've already set everything up fine so this far, right? Why does it have to end the same way as that old case? I'll say it again. Don't underestimate him. Huh? Takuru Miyashiro will keep looking. The reason he created me is... Will you finally say it? Jeez. The vision changed again. It was me. It was me back then, when I'd ran into the shelter. That's right. That's right. That's what I thought then. I'd met the people from my class on the way here. They were probably trying to help a woman who was injured and covered in blood. They asked me to help. I couldn't move. I couldn't think clearly, even though I knew how to give first aid. They seemed to think I was going to just let the woman die. So they'd look down on me. I hope I never end up like him, their eyes said. It was what I, as a right-sider, always thought about wrong-siders like them. It was the way I always looked at them. I hated it when they looked at me like that. I knew all kinds of things they didn't. I should go back and tell them what to do. Were they treating her injuries right? Were they doing it in the right order? I could make the right decisions. That's what I thought. Takuru? What are you doing here? Suddenly, my parents appeared. That was right. It was when I'd run into them at the shelter. They were yelling something at me excitedly, and they grabbed my arm and I shook them off. Takuru, what are you doing? Don't start causing problems again. You're saved. I'm saved? Just come with me. All I could do then was open my eyes and stare at them. I'm saved, I remembered thinking that, by people who never cared about me before. I shook my arm away again. Saved? Me? Why? These people had always neglected me. Now they were going to save me? Why? Just when I thought that, I saw myself holding my head in pain. My nails dug into my flesh, but the pain didn't stop and I kept screaming inside. No, this isn't right. These wrong-siders in the class never did anything good before, and they wanted to be good now, and they wanted to look at me like I was worthless? I could see myself screaming more. My heart and head felt like they were going to burst. You're going to save me. You, the people who just gave me 1,000 yen instead of taking me out to dinner on my birthday. Hell no. I'm not the kind of person who just gets saved by parents who don't even want him. My mom was yelling something, but I couldn't hear it then, and I couldn't hear it now. Shut up. You just think I'm in the way, don't you? I think the same thing. You're in my way. What could I do? What did I want to do? Why was I here? That's right. Where's Serika? I'd carried Serika on my back to get her to the hospital. I couldn't feel her on my back through the pain in my head. But I was doing what I was supposed to do. I was saving her life. Serika would understand that. She always told me that what I did was right. She was always on my side. Suddenly, everything went white. I said, shut up. You people should just go away forever. Get the feeling he just killed his parents. Serika, save me. Please, please. Onoe, please give me... That's right, these were probably Serika's memories. That's when I made my wish. To Serika. Give me something I want to do. Help me do it. Serika's memories came into me through the D-sword, and my memories went into her. And when she knocked away my D-sword, the visions vanished. So this whole thing, recreating all this, was just to make him feel important. Yeah, as Soy Sauce is pointing out, Serika's entire motivation and purpose was to inflate Takuru's ego. From her ditzy personality making him seem smarter than he actually is, to her cold, calculated persona setting up this entire murder rigged for him to solve, giving him something to do to make him feel like he has worth and purpose. This is why there's a lot of random dead ends and contrivances to the case. It was less about making a sound case versus making it interesting and personal for him to keep pursuing it. And yeah, here's a good spot to stop. About an hour or two left. My God. I mean, we got the rest of the revelations and probably wrap up to get to a conclusion. What's that? Amy, I will be up until 2 o'clock in the morning if I finish it tonight. Amy's... Okay, for Amy's sake, do we keep going or not?
No. Get some sleep.
Okay. She's saying to get some sleep. Yeah, too long. I can't believe we still have that much time left. Whew. It's interesting to get the real revelation, but yeah, I don't know what's going on here. No, I my throat is already getting raw. It really would be rough to keep going. That's the thing. It was I feel like there's still a lot of reading for me to do, and it should go there. But yes, next time will be the finale. We'll see how this all wraps up, and then we'll have Soy Sauce explain how all the other stuff fits in to the other drop pieces for the other characters actually come into play for those other endings. So yeah, almost there. God, that section was rough. Yeah, they had that big hero moment, and that was it. I wonder if I could almost have Serika pulling out like a boombox and be like, "Yep, we gotta get that hero moment in there, puff up that ego." And yeah, we're gonna be doing Zelda tomorrow, Zacian. No worries. Yeah, we'll be back. We'll finish this up next Sunday, of course, the same time, and then tomorrow, of course, we'll be there for more Link Between Worlds as we play through that. And then after we finish up Chaos Child, I got to think about something because, you know, we have... I'm not sure if it's a good idea to get right into Danganronpa 2 right away. Because... Hold on, I got to look at dates. See if it works. Okay, no, it works out. It works out. So I wouldn't. So the thing is, we'd be finishing it next Sunday, and then the 10th should be the big our big subathon. And then on the following weekend, I'll be actually on vacation for a week. I'll be going with friends, so I won't be around. Just getting a little bit of that vacation time for myself. So yeah, I wouldn't be able to really get to it until like the weekend after that. So it'll be a little bit till we get to Danganronpa 2, but at the very least, we'll have this finished up. So that there's no hanging thread like that for how many weeks. I probably would have squeezed in an extra stream just to make sure to finish it in that case. But it seems like we're in pretty good shape there. So yeah, that's that whole lineup. That's what we got to look forward to. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. How long will the subathon be? That's up to you. It'll go on for as long as the donations keep going on. All right. And let's see if we can raid real quick. Let's see. Kenshin's playing Final Fantasy 14. Probably a bad idea considering the new stuff is on there. Resident Evil Bloobs is playing Resident Evil 4. And I got a suggestion from Simadon for the RPG monger who's playing Persona 3. Let me see here. Yeah. So what are you guys up for? Resident Evil 4 or Persona 3? You know, Simadon doesn't suggest raids too often, so we'll probably pick that. As far as raids, what would be a good raid message? Because I don't know this person, I don't want to confuse them. Endless 8 is a good one. Okay, if you guys want to go with Endless 8, that's fine. But yeah, we'll raid the Persona player. Just because it's a suggestion we don't get too often. On the RPG longer, there it is. Okay, start that raid. And yeah. Once again, thank you all so much for joining me. Really do appreciate it. Hope you have a great week. Hope to see you tomorrow for Link Between Worlds and next Sunday for the finale of Chaos Child. Until then, everyone, bye.